without further ado, what do we always say here? Big Sills! What a iconic, historic weekend it was. Hope everyone had an absolutely fabulous weekend. Historic weekend, especially in Philly with WrestleMania 40. The Rock and Cena. The historic women's basketball games, was just insane. 12 million on Friday, was it? I think the numbers, when they come out today, Xander, I don't know if the numbers are out yet, but when those numbers come out, I think they could be over 20 million people. Watch South Carolina and Dawn Staley, Philly's own, win the national championship and beat Iowa. I want to start there for a second before we get into some of the conversation about football. It's a big week in football. What a polarizing woman that Caitlin Clark is. Just polarizing. Let me ask you something here also. Do you have to win a championship to be considered the greatest athlete in your respected sport? Especially in a team sport. And for the record, I'm not suggesting she is. I'm suggesting she's one of the most important. Like Arnold Palmer is the most important golfer in history. You know why? He put golf on TV. Tiger is more like Jack and Arnold Palmer because he moved the needle merchandise-wise and also when it came to putting viewers on a television set. Caitlin Clark is a needle mover. Michael Jordan, Tiger, Mike Tyson, not even Brady. Ali. Those are needle movers. There's very few people that change the landscape of sports for multiple reasons. She's a white Steph Curry. Okay? Get this. The NBA was nowhere over the weekend. Maxey getting 50 last night, I didn't give a shit. I've watched more women's basketball over the last 3 months than I have in my entire life. Okay? In my entire life. It was a tremendous story. Guess what else, too, it did? It was nobody would ever consider Steph Curry being the GOAT of college basketball or Larry Bird. Larry Bird lost a championship to Magic when he was at Indiana State. You still consider him one of the greatest of all time that's ever played college basketball. And I just think this, when you play UConn on Friday and then you got to turn around and play South Carolina on Sunday, I think she got worn out. No excuses. You went LSU, UConn, and South Carolina. I think it took its toll on her. And that Iowa team, mentally and physically. No excuses. No excuses. And Dawn Staley, 1 minute I like her, 1 minute I hate her. I thought it was a cool shout out. Hey, she's an accomplished woman. Philly's own. She is an accomplished woman as a former player, as a coach. I think she could coach dudes. I think she could go into the NBA and coach men. I think she's a fabulous coach. Gender's not anything to do with leadership. You're either a leader or you're not, no matter what your gender is. She is a beast of a leader. Okay? A beast of a leader. But you know what you had on social media and even people like CNN? South Carolina beats Caitlin Clark. I really felt that CNN wanted to go, hey, South Carolina beats white Caitlin Clark. Why'd you go there? Because it's important. Remember something, sports is a business, and so is sports media. Sports media is a business. Whatever sells clicks, views, advertising, it's about finding polarizing people. Look at Donald Trump. You think he's the only guy that's ever been a lowlife politician? He's a polarizing dude. He's great for media. You want to know something? CNN and MSNBC, they love Donald Trump. You know why? He sells advertising. Media is a huge business. You don't have to. You actually think the people at NBC like or hate Trump? They know he brings ratings and revenue. Anybody that brings ratings and revenue, that's all people care about. That's all they care about. See, personally, for me, when it comes to talking about the greatest of all time, dude, Maya Moore, she's one of the greatest of all time. A couple times she was the Naismith Player of the Year. She's got numerous national titles. She's a tremendous women's basketball star, one of the legends of the game. Look at what Caitlin Clark's going to do to the WNBA draft. That's going to be a thing now. That's going to be a thing. I think it's just absolutely sensational for women's sports and for sports in general. Hey, man, I hope this happens. I hope that sport continues to grow. The NFL drops another game, an 18th game, and you will have the NCAA tournament coming off the heels, going into the draft, and then you're going into training camp, and you're getting ready for the season. Okay? I thought it was fabulous. You know, people will talk about her not winning a national title. Oh, Steph Curry didn't. Charles Barkley didn't. Larry Bird didn't. LeBron James didn't. Kobe Bryant didn't. Now, I get those guys didn't go to college, but it's not like those guys were college superstars because they weren't. Okay? I mean, there's been so many great NBA stars and basketball stars that haven't won college national titles. So when you say that, you look stupid. Karl Malone never won a national title. Okay? I see people going like this. Caitlin and Dak, she went to 2 finals. Let's see if Dak gets to a damn conference championship game. I thought it was great. Okay? I mean, the NCAA, they got to figure out how to make money off that thing now. I thought it just was sensational. Congratulations. But winning a title. You think Barry Bonds needs to have a World Series title wrapped around his name when Barry Bonds, in my opinion, is the greatest left-hand hitter I've ever seen in my lifetime? Who would you put ahead of Bonds? Who would you put ahead of Bonds as the greatest left-hand hitter of all time? Ted Williams? He didn't win one either. Okay? I'm not moving anything. I'm talking about, you guys are the ones that put that stupid Super Bowl out there in a team sport. Okay? Greatest left-handed hitter of all time, Barry Bonds. I've never seen anything like it. 43 years old, leads baseball in on-base percentage, walks, hits 28 home runs, and hits 290, and he's 45 years old almost. Okay, I mean, his on-base percentage was next to Roos. Greatest ever. Greatest ever. Tony Gwynn's not a greater hitter than Barry Bonds. Nobody hits 373 and hits 70 home runs and 100 RBIs. Nobody does that. Nobody has over 200 walks. Most people today have 200 strikeouts. Tony Gwynn was a spectacular player. Okay? I was more interested in the girls' Final Four than the boys because of her. South Carolina was a better team at the end of the day. And we're coached better. Absolutely. Hey, I'll tell you this. Only Babe Ruth and Barry Bonds owned a single season home run record in the overall total in baseball history at the end of their careers. No one else has ever done that. Bonds don't have a title. Okay? Bonds didn't have a championship. You don't hail Barry like Bonds. We don't make hits. We make home runs. There's an agenda against Caitlin Clark. Well, that's the T-Will. That's the business of the media to do that. That's their business. Okay? It's crazy that you can win it all in a championship and all they talk about is the runner-up. That's when you know you're polarizing, Marcus. South Carolina's not the interesting story. It's a spectacular story. But it's not interesting. That's not an interesting story. South Carolina going undefeated? Yeah. Caitlin Clark is interesting. Okay? Remember, we covered, that's what we cover. Trump, Caitlin Clark, Colin Kaepernick, Antonio Brown. You don't cover Tim Duncan. You don't cover Warwick Dunn. You don't cover the people who are actually doing good. We cover that polarizing kind of person. And I can't believe how much she moved the needle. Did you hear this? That number against UConn outdrew every college football game last year except for Ohio State and Michigan. That's insane. Every college football game outdrew it. Then you got people, I guess she passed a players a couple months ago for the all-time leading scorer in women's college basketball. She's now saying that she never really broke my record. And you've got America divided because she's white. Okay? Absolutely great. Good old Dick Trains right in here. Angelo Cataldi, 330. Absolutely. One of the legends. Congratulations on being elected into the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. Caitlin Clark is Josh Allen. Great individual player, but can't win a ring. Neither can your boy. By the way, you know what's funny? I was prepared for shit like that. There's only 4 players in the NFL right now that are starting quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls. 80% of the quarterbacks in the NFL today haven't won one. And you actually think that Jalen Hurts will be one of those next guys. Never happened. Never. Ever. Never. All right. All right. This is a crazy-ass story, and I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. Christopher, he'll never get back to an NFC title game. Ever. Ever. All right, let's get into this here. I couldn't believe it. I had to actually call my friends at the Dallas Cowboys. Should the Philadelphia Eagles pursue Micah Parsons? No. 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 I have no interest in acquiring Micah Parsons. Absolutely not. Edge rushers don't win you national titles. Edge rushers don't win you Super Bowls. Myles Garrett? TJ Watt, how long has he been in Pittsburgh? How long has TJ Watt been in Pittsburgh? Khalil Mack. Okay, Von Miller's got one and a Super Bowl MVP. Okay. Who else in the last 10 years? And by the way, back then, Von Miller wasn't the highest paid player at his position. Charles Haley's he's not an edge rusher. He's a defensive end. And that was 100 years ago when no one was making the money you're making now and the money you have to invest. I'm not spending $37 million or $35 million on an edge rusher. That's not happening. LT12, he was making $280,000, and then he ended up making $900,000. Little different, dude. I said in the last 10 years, name me an edge. The money's different. I'm not spending. You guys have to go back 38 years. I'm talking about players that are making $30 million. I'm not spending that. I'm not spending that money. Aaron Donald's not an edge rusher. Aaron Donald's not an edge rusher. I'm not interested in spending $30 million on a defensive end. No, thank you. Patriots didn't need one. They had the quarterback. So think about what you're saying if you're Philadelphia. You needed to go out and get a $10 million running back. You need to go out and get a $30 million edge rusher. You're going to give up draft picks for a guy who's overrated. Micah Parsons is overrated and overhyped. He's not as good as you think. That guy is not going to win a Super Bowl unless he has better people around him. He's not that good. He has flash games. The guy in Jacksonville, like LJ said, is better. Josh Allen is a better player. I would never spend $30 million. Shit, the Eagles didn't even want to spend $25 million on an edge rusher who gave you 27 sacks the last 2 years. And so I go, is it true that the Cowboys are thinking of moving him? You know what they're saying? They're open to moving Dak, CD, and Parsons because they're not going to be able to afford them all. Why in the world would Dallas trade him to Philly? That right there, too, 304. Now, remember something, though. 304. You remember the history and how Dallas got him, right? They made a trade with the Eagles. I agree. 304. And by the way, he reminds me, Super Chats, guys, all go to the top. In my opinion, I think the Dallas Cowboys would be in the best interest to trade that guy and get draft picks. Get multiple ones for him. He's so overhyped and overrated right now, he'll never have a higher asking price. And someone would be dumb enough to pay it. But I guarantee you, if Micah Parsons, think of this, he's nowhere in the room of Myles Garrett or TJ Watt. And those guys are 10 times the player he is. Okay? I mean, I wouldn't. Dude, Micah Parsons is not going to generate a second rounder. He's going to generate a couple ones. That's not how that's going to go. Because he's a Dallas Cowboy. I see people talking about that in Philly and in Dallas, that he'd like to play in Philly and that the Cowboys are sick of his shit. Hey, 304, I think he's an anchor around your defense. I think he's a focal point on who to attack. I think he hurts your defense, not helps it. I think he hurt. Hey, how many people agree with me? How many people think Micah Parsons helps the Dallas Cowboys defense? You see what the Cardinals did to him? You see what the 49ers do to him? You see what Lane Johnson does to him? They run him over. He does not help your defense. I mean, I don't see it. What, against the Giants? And against shitty teams like that? He has big games, but in big games, he's nowhere. Overrated, overhyped. I think it would be a horrible move, in my opinion, for the Philadelphia Eagles to pursue any kind of even thought process of Micah Parsons. I mean, he's awesome against crappy teams. Against the team that he has to get this, against the team, if you're the Cowboys, the team you have to beat and the team that you have to be measured against, Micah Parsons has his worst games against the Philadelphia Eagles. Why in the world would the Eagles want to put a guy on the team who's not that great a guy against the run? And I don't know. I saw this. Now, look, I'm not shocked the Cowboys are sick of his shit. And I don't think he's a $30 million guy. I'm not paying that for that guy. No way. No way. And I think the Cowboys are having an epiphany, and I think they're having a come to Jesus conversation about that. Do we pay that guy? Do we pay CD or Dak? I think the odd guy out in that payroll is Micah. Hey, Sills, you think that's Jimmy's influence with the Cowboys looking to get rid of those guys? That's the first thing I thought. Absolutely, amen. That's the guy I talked to. Coach, what do you think of Micah Parsons? You know what he said to me? He goes like this: that ain't Charles Haley. And you know what he means by that? 304. I'd trade Micah to the Raiders for 2 firsts, and I'd be ecstatic. They're a team that drafts high every year, and Dallas drafts very well. Truly true. Truly, that's right. Jimmy Johnson, what do you think he meant when he went like this? And I go, what do you think of Micah Parsons? He goes, well, he's no Haley. What does that mean? I took it this way. Coach wouldn't expand on it. But you know what it meant to me? Charles Haley made big plays in big games. And he was a playmaker. Micah Parsons is not a playmaker. I mean, but I see people in Philly all excited about the opportunity of potentially pursuing it. Then you have to realize, would Dallas trade him to an in-division opponent? The only reason you would do that is because you do think the guy's overrated. Can't play the run, isn't a linebacker, just a pass rusher, never shows up in big games. Gets 3 sacks versus Panthers, but doesn't do anything versus playoff teams. Anthony, dead on. I would make this comment to you. Who do you think has been better the last 2 years? Haason Reddick or Micah Parsons? Haley, playmaker. Parsons, haymaker. Miss. Yeah. Not trading him to the Eagles unless the Eagles give 3-1s. The Eagles are not trading for that guy. And if they do, it'll be Howie's biggest mistake of his entire career. Haason Reddick has had a better 2-year span than what Parsons is. I get he's younger. But no, LJ. Bryce Huff has to start. I'm talking about starters, not substitutes and second-team guys. Micah Parsons and Haason Reddick are starters. I don't talk about backups. I'd rather go for Patrick Surtain too if I'm giving ones up. I would never trade for that guy. And for the record, the Cowboys getting tired of it. I don't know if the Cowboys are getting tired of it because they tolerate a lot of bullshit at that organization. I just think this. I think they're tired of paying people and overpaying for people. I think the Cowboys should trade him on draft day. And like 304 said, the Raiders, Arizona. And quite frankly, he doesn't scare me if I'm Dallas. If I trade him inside the conference, he doesn't scare me. Myles Garrett scares me. Okay? That's an edge rusher. Josh Allen, Jacksonville. Those are great-looking players. Those are edge-rushing, great-looking football players. Okay? I don't see... Is Parsons overhyped? He's overhyped and overrated. Reddick wrecked the game. No. Anthony, he didn't wreck a game. He wrecked the NFC Championship game. Okay? I mean, the NFC Championship game he wrecked. Championship. Okay? Dude, Twiz, Lane Johnson owns him. I mean, Lane Johnson could put and send to the Canton people and the Hall of Fame people a reel of him dominating him. And that would get him in alone. It would get him in alone. And for the record, Myles Garrett, he's going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Boy, man, you hear all these people saying this stuff about potentially him coming to the Philadelphia Eagles, and should they pursue him? Absolutely not. All right. Let's move on here. We're getting close. What are we, 18 days out to the NFL draft? Getting closer. Dick Train. Let's talk about how AJ will be a top wide receiver in the NFC. Once again, Dick Train, and how Jalen will be the MVP consideration. AJ, or Dick Track. Just remember this. Big-time wide receivers like A.J. Brown, they're a dime a dozen. How about Houston, what they did? Instead of giving Stephon Diggs, fans who think like that don't know much about football. Our weakness on defense was back four. We need linebackers who can cover and coverage. Correct, Prince. Absolutely correct. Once again, did you see what the Houston Texans did? You see what the Texans did? They voided the last 2 years of the contract so that Stephon Diggs could be a free agent. Why would they do that? He's a one-year rental. They're going to let him go into free agency. Only given ones for Surtain or Allen. Absolutely. So much for being important in Buffalo. You had Stephon Diggs that you made a trade for. Think about that. You had him for the next 3 years. You know what the Texans did? I don't want him here for the next 3 years. I'm not paying that money. So how important was he? You guys made it sound like Stephon Diggs was the most important thing possible to Josh Allen. Shit, the Texans don't even think that. The Texans went, we'll void that last 2 years so you can go out and be a free agent. Think about that. You guys are trying to tell me that Stephon Diggs is a big-time receiver, right? And that Josh Allen needs him. Houston's saying we don't. They didn't give him a... Most people, when you get traded, get new deals. They get new deals. They cut the last 2 years of his contract out. Why in the world would they do that? Because they don't want to pay him. Why are the Eagles paying A.J. Brown? to not win championships. As long as A.J. Brown is on your football team, you're going nowhere. That guy does not play championship football, and he's overpriced. Silsby puts great numbers up. I don't care. He's overpriced. He hurts your defense and how you can spread your money around. He hurts your team. And he turns Jalen into a one-target guy. People, I hear people that are on our network go like this, well, he's the best offensive player. What's it done for you, though? It's wrecked your salary cap on defense, and they haven't delivered. The only person that has benefited being in Philadelphia has been A.J. Brown. Hurts had a horrible year last year. Didn't benefit him. Coordinator got fired. Didn't benefit him. Nick Sirianni almost lost his job. Didn't benefit him. Didn't benefit Devontae Smith. What did it benefit you? You lost 6 or 7 at the end. It got you nothing. Why pay him? Why are you paying him that? Because you know why? You're not sure of your quarterback. How are the Bills better without Diggs? Simple. The same way that Kansas City will be better without Tyreek Hill. You're not relying on one guy. You're spreading the football around. And you can actually put a game plan in instead of having to get targets and touches to one player like you guys do every year to one player. 36% of the offensive throws went to one guy. I mean, think about that. So 64% of the time, I know this. I've got to defend somebody else, which was most likely Devontae. So like almost half of your throws went to 2 people. You become predictable when you have one of those big-time wideouts. By the way, one more time. Okay, then, LJ, if Diggs is so important, why did Texans void the last 2 years of the contract instead of giving him a contract extension? Why? Why didn't they give him more money? They voided it. He's on a 1-year deal in Houston. That's makes that trade look kind of different now, doesn't it? That makes that trade look different. Okay? Makes it look different. Texans don't even want him. Because they have contracts coming up too. They got $67 million in cap space. They were one of the top teams in the NFL in cap space. Who are they paying? They just gave Joe Mixon get this, just to show you how ridiculous LJ just is. Joe Mixon got traded to the Texans. What did the Texans do to Joe Mixon? They gave him a brand new 3-year deal. Stephon Diggs got traded to the Texans. They voided the last 2. Why? Why? I mean, Joe Mixon got a 3-year contract extension. Knowing it's going to overpay a 30-plus-year-old wide receiver, who he wasn't that good last year. They didn't need him. They don't. Not one of these big-time paid wide receivers. I'll say it one last time before we move on to the next topic. Will win. Justin Jefferson's not winning a Super Bowl at $30 million. A.J. Brown's not winning one at $25 million. Stephon Diggs is not winning one at $20 million. Devontae Adams is not winning one. Tyreek Hill's not winning one at $25 million. None of these guys are winning titles when you have receivers making that kind of money. They touch the ball 5 times a game. And you truly think that those guys are going to move the needles. When unless you're Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy, who need all the talent around them. Personally, The people, let's take a look at something here too. Let's take a look at all the people that have these big time wideouts. So Allen doesn't have one. Mahomes doesn't have one. Lamar doesn't have one. Lamar's the MVP, second before the age of 26. Let's see who has the big paid guys. Jalen has one. Purdy has one. Devontae Adams doesn't have a quarterback, so they're paying the quarterback more in Vegas. They're paying the wide receiver more than they're paying a quarterback. Oof. Anytime you get that dynamic, you know you're not going anywhere. If my wide receiver makes more money than my quarterback, I'm not going anywhere. That's what Minnesota's got to figure out. Are you really going to pay a guy $30 million and bring a rookie in and have a rookie throw to him when the rookies this year aren't very good? Okay. I mean, I think A.J. Brown's a waste of money, and I think he hurts your defense. I do. All right. Draft is right around the corner. Okay? Draft is right around the corner. Josh Allen, all not even close to Mahomes. Nowhere close. You're nowhere close. If Josh Allen is nowhere close to Mahomes, your guy is a galaxy away from Mahomes. He's not a very good passer. He's an okay passer. I mean, in the league that the league is set up for throwing, A.J. Brown's the greatest wide receiver of all time. Okay? Sure. Thank you, Niners all day. Niners all day might dispute that and go, yeah, we had a guy here by the name of Star 80. Hurts is washed. Yeah, hey, I don't think he's washed. I never thought he was as good as people thought he was. Jalen emphasized the importance of having a good coach in a recent interview. I suspect there may be some tension between him and Nick. Prince, I think one of the things that you've been saying and a lot of people have been saying for the last couple of years is that relationship is not what people think. Sills, I love A.J. Brown as a player. I did so before Philly, but if I'm over Howie, I'm telling him to draft the next Jefferson or A.J. and to trade A.J. It would not shock me if they drafted a wide receiver and moved down closer to the end of the first round and drafted one of these wideouts. It would not. Nicole goes negative Nancy. Well, what did you find redeeming about your football team last year? What was the positive? AJ's untradeable this year, probably so because of the cap hit. But then again, I'll say this to you. They did show that they're willing to eat cap space because they've done it with Alshon Jeffries, and they also did it with Carson Wentz. They've shown they'll eat it. We had a terrible coach, so Hurts gets this year, or his ass can find another team. Okay. I'm with you on that. I'm completely with you. Because let me tell you this. I don't believe the Kellen Moore hire is as good as you think. I'm not that impressed with him. When you dive into what he's accomplished, which is nothing as a coordinator, I'm not that impressed. And the same people that rip Dak Prescott every day here on our show, well, he was with him for 5 years. What redeeming thing did you see in Dak that you liked that Kellen was doing? All of a sudden now he's a better hire here? How can you say that? You can use a great wide receiver. It's not a mistake to put money at that position. Well, the teams that win Super Bowls don't. Sills, you don't think anything the Eagles have done in 3 years has been a good move? Nope. Once again, hyperbole there and over the top because that's not true. I think the extension for Lane, no, not Lane, but for Landon was spectacular. I think the money that Mulata gets plus the cap, great. I think the Jalen Hurts contract is great. And you see what LJ wants is me to sit here and try to quantify some of the things that I say here on the program. I don't have to quantify shit. All you have to do is look at 1 and 7. That's all you have to do. And look at the way the football team fell apart. Okay? Brady and Mahomes winning because of their superiority doesn't prove that a stud wide receiver is not a big asset. Well, they never won with one. And when Tyreek Hill was in Kansas City, he wasn't a high-paid guy. Brady never won a Super Bowl with a big-time wide receiver, ever. And I wouldn't say Edelman and Amendola and Wes Welker were big-time wideouts when he won those 6 Super Bowls. Remember, before you start barking, wide receivers are not tight ends. We're not talking tight ends here. See, the position that you have to have is tight end, not receiver. You don't have a big enough tight end to win a Super Bowl. And this is going to take me into the topic here. I have 5 players that I'm coming around on that I would like to see the Philadelphia Eagles draft. 5. Christopher, come on, Sills. What? What did I miss? What did I miss? Pass catching tight end is pretty much a receiver. Well, he's not. And here's what Christopher doesn't get. You can say that until you go and get your paycheck. Tight ends are not paid like wideouts. And yet they're more instrumental in moving the sticks. Would you rather have Gronkowski or A.J. Brown? How about this? Would you rather have Travis Kelce or A.J. Brown? Would you rather, I'll go away from Kelce. Would you rather have the guy Edwards in Baltimore? A.J., look at Jay. He goes A.J. Brown. He would take A.J. Brown over Travis Kelce. When the number one mismatch in the NFL today is tight ends with linebackers versus receivers with cornerbacks. That's how dumb he is. This guy just yaps. A.J. Brown. I just made a point to you. Big-time wide receivers with big-time salaries don't. Here, let's take a look at the Super Bowls. Okay? And let's take a look at the good teams. How good is San Francisco with Kittle? Pretty good. How good is Baltimore with Edwards? Pretty good. How good is Kansas City with Kelce? Pretty good. All those guys were instrumental. Okay? Instrumental. If you have a big-time tight end, okay? Kittle won a whole lot of nothing. Well, he's won more than Dallas Goedert ever will. Andrews, Baltimore. Thank you, MG. Excuse me. Thank you. Yeah. Not cherry picking. Here, let me get to the topic. Boy, I'll tell you what. There's no question. Half this room doesn't understand how to build a football team or the importance of a position or matchups. Okay? No one was talking about Ertz, LJ. No one's moving the goalposts like you. No one brought that in but you. We won a Super Bowl with Selleck and Ertz. That's how we win. But that's to the point. Oh, Ertz got us a ring. Tight end. I got it. My mistake, LJ. You're right. Wasn't your great wideouts. Then there's a tight end. So let me ask you this. Would you rather have a younger Zach Ertz or A.J. Brown on your football team? Yeah, I got it, LJ. Would you rather have Zach Ertz younger? Or would you rather have A.J. Brown? Younger Ertz, not close. Right. So let's go into our topic. Here are the 5 players that I would covet. I would never want A.J. Brown. He'll never win shit. He'll never win shit. He won't be on his football team after next year. A.J. Brown will never be on this football team next year. He won't. Imagine 2 tight ends set if we had drafted Bowers. How about this too, Q? That's why I think the New England Patriots were on the cusp of doing something special. You know what that was? With Aaron Hernandez and Gronkowski with that two tight end set. I think they were going to revolutionize the NFL. You couldn't cover both those guys. You put those 2 guys in a slot. How do you cover them? How do you cover them? Okay, okay, incredible. 5 players that I've now circled as we're getting closer to the NFL draft. Eagles are sitting at 22. Randy, once again, guy, shows you the ignorance of some people. Randy Moss didn't win a Super Bowl ever. Ever. He's the Caitlin Clark of the NFL for wide receivers. Randy Moss never won a Super Bowl. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it, my friend. Never. Thank you, Richard. Okay? KP, you and me are pretty close. Yeah, Randy Moss is the Caitlin Clark of NFL receivers. So wait a minute. Let me get this right. A.J. Brown is going to win a Super Bowl, but Randy Moss, the second greatest wide receiver in pro football history, didn't win one, but he will. Is that right? Really? That's like telling me Hurts is going to win one when there's only 4 quarterbacks that are starting in the NFL today. 4 that have Super Bowl wins and led teams to a Super Bowl. I mean, Randy Moss, the second greatest, him or T.O., you could pick. Okay? Well, look at Twiz. Twiz goes like this. Moss cost Brady a Super Bowl. Had 20 touchdowns that year. Broke the NFL record. Wow, that's some bad play. Hurts will never win one. A tie. But wait, A.J. Brown's going to win one, but not Randy Moss, who's a superior player to A.J. Brown. Superior. Terrell Owens could also be considered the second best wide receiver in pro football history. He never won one, but your guy's going to. Isn't it funny? All the big number guys in the current age of the NFL, none of them have won Super Bowls. Moss, Owens, Brown, Devontae Adams. Right? All of them guys. In the last 10, 15 years, none of them have won Super Bowls. But AJ will. Okay. I don't think you see the game clearly. You need a defense first. Well, shit, you ain't got one. That's the point. tape, then why pay $25 million if you don't have a defense? Why pay $25 million for a wide receiver if you don't have money put on your defensive side of the football? Why? Because of Brady. Okay. So you're telling me if Gronkowski is, instead of on New England, and he's in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers doesn't win more. I say Aaron Rodgers wins more. I say the tight end position is the key position in today's league. And Kupp didn't make any money when they won the Super Bowl. He made the money after. And he took a hometown discount. Okay? Senor goes, why are the Chargers and Harbaugh drafting wide receiver at pick 5? Then, smart guy. Senor, I'm assuming you're not aiming that at me because they didn't want to pay Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and they moved off them. That's why, and they'd rather go into the draft and pay wide receivers on rookie contracts. That's why they did it. They didn't want to pay Keenan Allen, and they didn't want to pay Mike Williams, who's frequently injured. That's why they didn't pay him, and that's why they moved him. Okay? Think about that. You get the same production, but cheaper. And that's what teams are doing. Even the Houston Texans just did that. Even the Texans. KP, I'm going to get to that. Okay? I'm going to get to that. By the way, I'm going to get to these 5 players. I promise. I won't drag it on too long here. I want to say one thing about your Haason Reddick trade. How many days has it been since Reddick has been moved? 8? 9? How many days? How many days has it been since Haason Reddick was traded from the Philadelphia Eagles to the Jets? Anybody know? How many days? Like 8 days? Let's see. Was it this past Friday? It was Friday ago. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What is it? 9 days now? Where's this new contract? Pete Toilet, I'm going to tell you why it matters. It's been about a week and no contract. Why didn't the Eagles just make that guy play the contract out? He would have. He would have played it. He may have held out in OTAs or summer training camp. So what? Make him play it out. Why didn't you make him stay? Instead of moving him for a draft pick that you're not going to get for 3 drafts from now. And get this, LJ goes, he would have held out. So you didn't get any compensation for the next 3 drafts anyway. If he's not on your team, who cares? You got nothing for him anyway. Not for 3 more years. Why don't you make him pay or play? I think he would have played. You're assuming a guy on a 1-year deal. You're assuming a guy on a 1-year deal wouldn't want to go into free agency. So wait a minute. Should Stephon Diggs hold out now in Houston? Because Houston voided the last 2 years to get a new contract? Or is that a distraction that Buffalo didn't want? So which is it, LJ? Now with the 2 years being voided by Nick Caserio, GM of the Texans, should he hold out? Maybe Buffalo didn't want that distraction. They agreed on, wait, you make a trade and you allow the guy to become a free agent. And you had the control of the player for 2 years. They agreed? I wouldn't agree to that. Unless I was just looking for the player for 1 year. Stephon Diggs is a stopgap wide receiver until they go into the draft. They're going to draft somebody like a wide receiver, and there will be the replacement for him, and he'll be on his 4th team. Shows you what a nightmare that meathead is. He's going to be on 4 different teams. 4 different teams inside of 7 years. And you're trying to tell me that wide receivers are important. He can't be that important if he's going to be on 4 teams. Diggs is a luxury? Why trade for him then? Howie wants to be right about Huff, and his ego is unmatched. No, here's what I'm saying about this Reddick thing. It makes no sense. This is why when people have been criticizing me for the Vic Fangio comment, it's totally true. You see it now. The Jets aren't giving him a contract. They have no intention of giving him one. Hey, and I'll be the first one to admit it if they do. I'm wrong. But it's been almost 10 days. And most of the time when you make a play for a player, just like they did with Snead in Tennessee, they made Snead the highest paid defensive back in the league. Joe Mixon got traded the next day. Texans gave him a 3-year contract extension. What happened? What happened? I mean, Haason Reddick is a loser in this. No extension, no salary increase. He's playing for the same money. Why didn't the Eagles make him do that? What in the long? I saw somebody go long game. If you're Haason Reddick, you lost this. And if you're the Eagles, you lost this. Compensation in 3 years, and Reddick doesn't make any more money than he made. He's underpaid on the market, and he's on a 1-year contract, and he'll be on another football team at the end of this coming season. How did that make sense to anybody? Except that the coordinator wanted him out. I mean, I still don't understand why you just didn't say this. Here's your option. Play here or don't play at all. I don't really care. We're not paying you more. And the writing was on the wall that he wasn't coming back anyway. Haason Reddick had no market. Hence, there's no contract extension. There's no restructuring of a deal. He had no market. He had no leverage. In the end, actually, the Eagles were right. Because they knew not to pay him. The Jets aren't even paying him. Think about that for a minute. Haason Reddick's agent absolutely thought more of his client with Reddick, so much so that there was really no market. They made the market up. They made the potential takers. Nor did the Eagles nor the Jets are willing to pay him more. Where's the market? We have got to be the dumbest organ. I don't know why you just didn't stand pat and make him play. LJ says Reddick probably made it clear he was done with the Eagles, the way Diggs told the Bills he was done. And get this, with the Texans, they didn't give him a contract extension. They actually took the last 2 years away and said, hey, you're playing here 1 year. He was done. I think Buffalo didn't want the headache anymore, the guy. And I think that the Stephon Diggs Houston Texans deal, I think it's a behavior deal. Hey, if you're good, you put up numbers, we'll talk maybe potential extension. But until then, If you want to be a free agent at the end of the year and you think you're worth more, let's see it. We may end up paying you. They're betting against Stephon Diggs. They're betting that he won't. That's why they avoided those years. Buffalo didn't want the headache anymore. And Houston's afraid. Hey, having a guy, Xander, was that you that said this late in the year or late in the week last week when that deal went down? You know what Xander said? It's a good deal, but it's the worst team. And I believe he said that because of all the youth that's on that team and how young everyone is. The coach, the quarterback, Caserio turning everything around down there. I agree with him. I agree. Big Sills, you're absolutely right. The Eagles may get 7 wins because of that loser Fangio. We would have been better with Gannon. At least we went to a Super Bowl. 34, thank you. I just don't get it. I mean, I don't get why you didn't make the player play out. You know, I was waiting until Monday. Maybe that deal happens. But I don't believe it. I think the Jets would have pounced on it already. For them not to, they have no intention of paying him. The Eagles had no intention of paying him. You know how you know that? First day of free agency, they hired his replacement. Philadelphia wanted nothing to do with that. And for everyone to think, oh, we're going to try to keep 2, Howie's going to make some move. Howie had no intention of keeping that player. Because you would have just told the guy this, I'm not trading you. Play your final year out. And I think he would have honored it. I think he would have played it. Why not? See, here's why they didn't make Reddick play out. It was ego, gold standard. Here we go. Gold standard franchises don't have holdouts. Howie and Laurie didn't want the visual. Bob, I don't think he would have held out. I'm not paying $20 million for a small edge rusher over 30. So you would pay for a backup at $18 million. And he's younger and he doesn't start. And you're hoping he's Haason Reddick. Reddick wasn't a washed player. I disagree with John McMullen. I completely disagree with that. Only winner in this situation is the Jets. They get a better player who will play well day one. Anthony, yes. The Jets upgraded without spending any more money and without paying for a player they know who's situational. Absolutely true. You can't be any more right than what you just said. Absolutely true. The Jets benefited the most out of that Reddick deal. It just makes no sense why you wouldn't force that player to go, hey, you're on a 1-year deal. So if Haason Reddick holds out, his market value at 30 you think goes up because he didn't play? How about the Eagles actually getting a pick they could have used 18 days from now? You think that might have helped? Okay, so Taylor goes, Eagles did the same thing with Malcolm Jenkins. What, they traded him out for 3 years on compensation in return? I mean, they didn't even give a shit about the return that they got on selling the guy to the Jets and selling the contract to the Jets. They said, that's okay, pay us in 3 years. It just makes no sense. So let me ask you something here. Prince brings up this. So Javon Hargrave was on a 1-year contract when his final year came up. And remember, I kept saying, I didn't think he'd get $20 million from the 49ers. He played his final year out, and he ended up getting $20 million from, and by the way, Javon Hargrave is no spring chicken, and he got $20 million. What's the difference between him and Reddick? What happened? Something happened. Somebody stepped on the gas here. Bob Brown says, Sills, do you think Reddick could have been used a part of camp should the Eagles try to trade for Josh Allen? They're not going to trade for Josh Allen. Howie doesn't spend money on defense. A 2026 conditional doesn't help us. Hell, I'd rather have a 2024 5 or 6. Absolutely. I would have took a lesser round that it could have helped me this year. And then parlayed them to try to trade up and get somebody I wanted. I'm not suggesting Howie sucks, but somebody other than Howie was pushing this deal. Big Trag says Devontae Smith, but he can't draft. He can't draft defense. He's pathetic at it. Utterly pathetic. Y'all play the game like checkers. Howie's playing chess. How's he playing chess with this? You got nothing in return. They didn't give him a contract extension, and you hired a guy who's a lesser player. How's that chess? How's that chess? I think Reddick speaking out verbally was just the icing on the cake. He said more face to face with Howie. No, I think the agent did. They didn't appreciate how he was being used. And I think that was the catalyst in getting Bryce Huff in the room. Okay, yeah. You don't look right in front of you when you're... Reddick will get his deal, trust and believe. Never happened. No way. No way. $25 million? The Jets are not paying that. They wouldn't pay Bryce Huff that. Why would they pay Reddick? They're going to use Reddick. They may draft, the Jets now may draft edge rusher in the upcoming draft to replace him. Get rid of him after this year. And they get a compensation. Don't forget this too. How about this one, Xander? So here's what the Jets are going to do. I think the Jets may get that kid verse. They may get the kid verse. They may draft this guy, Verse, or Dallas Turner at number 10, or trade down and let Reddick play 1 year, and they get a compensation of a third rounder when he walks out the building. They basically cover their bet. And they get a better player for 1 year without paying him. And Reddick makes the same number. How did this go on when you just didn't do this? Play. Javon Hargrave played his last year out without a contract. Best thing happened in Philly. We got to witness championship at WrestleMania. That was pretty awesome shit, man. I think I don't really like the 3-day deal, but it's all good, man. Or a 2-day deal. I think they should do it all on 1 day, but the Rock and Cena in the ring was pretty good. And also, who would have thought, Kelsey spending his retirement in a WWE wrestling arena and in the ropes. Isn't that how you thought he would spend his retirement? Would be at WrestleMania? I mean, I don't know. I think it fits perfect. Hey, you get this. Here's what went down too, man. Hey, supposedly Stone Cold wanted more money, and Undertaker got the gig. He wanted more money. He was supposed to be involved in that. And he said, "No, that's all right. I'll pass." All the way up to the last couple hours of the thing. They were still negotiating. And Stone Cold was supposed to be at that. He bailed. Said, "Nah." Triple H had to hurry and get someone. That's how Undertaker's okay. You're not going to go. He's not that far off. Oh, Undertaker's a legendary guy himself. If the Jets go get an edge rusher, KTS sucks for the Eagles. Every mock draft, ATL taking Dallas Turner. I think Chicago could also take him at 9. I think because of all the moves that Chicago made with their offense this offseason, and plus at 1, they're going to get Caleb. I wouldn't be shocked if Eberflus talks Poles into going there and getting potentially Dallas Turner, or maybe even the DB from Toledo, and they put him there. Okay. Sills, is Chip Kelly's situation with Fangio and Howie? Not quite. He's not Stone Cold. Hey, Big Trag, he's not. But Undertaker is a legend. Okay? Sills, can you say we have the better quarterback? What, the Cardinals? Well, he took you to the limit the year previous, and he beat you this year. So what is he, 1-1 versus you? He's had pretty good games against the Eagles, actually, Kyler Murray. And Jonathan Gannon outcoached Nicky. I mean, oh, that's right. But you are 2-0 against Josh Allen, but you're 1-1 against Kyler Murray. He's almost beaten you twice. So Kyler Murray, this is a big year for Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's got to win. He's got to win. I think Jonathan Gannon's doing a great job with him, too. He's giving him all the support he possibly can give him. All right, I'm going to have to take a time out here, man, because we get Angelo Cataldi coming in. Xander goes like this. Dude, the guy stinks. Wait a minute. He beat your boy. He beat your boy. He beat Jalen Hurts. He beat Hurts pretty convincingly with nobody. Xander's like, that ain't saying much. With that, I'm going to take a timeout. Angelo Cataldi's going to join us at 3:30. We'll talk to Angelo. Philadelphia's legendary sports talker was just inducted into the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. We will talk with him. Gary Cobb, as we always do on a Monday. That'll be at 4:30. So much to hit on yet. And I will get to my 5 players that I covet. And I've got 5 right now that I'd be comfortable with the Eagles taking. Who are they? I'll tell you who they are. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, We are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services. The first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz and Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Be a horrible move for the Philadelphia Eagles to inquire about Micah Parsons. He's just not good enough. If we're talking Myles Garrett, I'm all in. Hey, you want to bring that player or Josh Allen to the Eagles? Josh Allen, Jacksonville. I'm all ears. But you had an opportunity to go after a great edge rusher and a guy who could replace Brandon Graham when you could have went after Brian Burns. A 2 and a 5? All you had to do was pony up $25 million. Howie didn't want to do it. A 2 and a 5 for one of the best young defensive ends in the NFL. And last year, the Rams offered 2 1s for him, and Carolina said no. Carolina, I don't get how they do business. You want to know what a really shitty organization is? That's it. You got no first-round picks for Christian McCaffrey and Brian Burns. I mean, how do you not get ones for them? Right? It just doesn't make sense. By the way, Angelo Cataldi is going to join us at the bottom of the hour here. My quarterback rankings getting ready 18 days out from the NFL draft. I got Jaden Daniels number 1. I got Caleb Williams 2. I got Michael Penix 3. I got Drake May 4. I got Bo Nix 5. And I got J.J. McCarthy. How many of these guys do I think will be really great players? None. How many guys do I think will be really good players? 1, Jaden Daniels. How many players do I think will be bust? 3. Drake May, Bo Nix, and J.J. McCarthy. Caleb Williams will be Jalen Hurts. Look good at times, look shitty at times. That's who he'll be. And you better load up like they're doing in Chicago, because he'll need the help like Jalen needs the help. Because Jalen needs all the help he can get to be good. Because that's what they did at Alabama. They loaded the team up with all the great talent around him, and he still couldn't keep the job. Why am I to believe he's going to keep the job in Philadelphia when he couldn't keep the job in Alabama? Do you ever wonder that? I mean, Xander, who were his wideouts at Alabama and his running back? Weren't they Derrick Henry and Jalen Waddle and Judy? Wasn't Landon Dickerson on that team? I mean, he couldn't keep his job in Tuscaloosa. And you had Judy and what's his name too? Jalen Waddle had to be on that team. So you had Jalen Waddle, you had Judy, and you had Derrick Henry. And Jalen lost his job. How do you lose your job with all that talent? Ruggs? Hey, keep naming them. Ruggs was on that team too? So you had Judy, Ruggs. Was Amari Cooper on that team? All that talent, and he lost his job, right? It's either Derrick Henry or it wasn't Ingram. Had to be Henry on that team, right? Or Najee? How did he lose his job? Devontae Smith was a young pup even on that team, and he lost his job. Oh, that's right, Jacobs and Harris were the running backs. Look at the wideouts, and that guy lost his job. What makes you think he's going to keep his job in Philly? Because he's a hard worker. Okay. I can't wait for 2024. I just can't. Holy cow. Dude, I'll tell you one thing I did watch, though. I watched that WrestleMania. What could you have found a better place than Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lincoln Financial, The Rock, and I said this a couple minutes ago. Who, if you close your eyes and you had an epiphany when it came to Jason, how do you think Jason Kelce will spend his retirement? In a wrestling ring? Would you be off? I mean, was that not set up for him? It absolutely was. That was a great moment. I talked to The Rock too before the show. You know what he said before I bring Angelo on? He goes, "Hey, I'm changing into a heel now. We've had The Rock on. You guys know this." And I go, just take a shit on Jalen Hurts, man. They'll go nuts on you. And he'll go, "Hey, you say anything." So he did. He took my advice, and he went crazy on him. All right. A man who was just inducted into the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. He had a great honor also by Barrett Sports a couple weeks ago. And I guess in retirement, you get rocking chairs now and trophies and all this stuff. Let's bring Angelo Cataldi in, the sports Bible of Philadelphia sports, and really how to do a sports talk radio show. Everything you need to know if you are a young, aspiring broadcaster or you're a Philadelphia sports fan. This is all you need to know right here. Angelo, congratulations to you, my friend.
Well, thank you, Dan. I got to tell you, this retirement thing, I don't know, man. 2 doors
it ain't
up,
working for you, right?
I'm in Chestnut Hill, Philadelphia, and 2 doors up from me, there are a bunch of retirees in the backyard looking up in the sky, and it's cloudy. And they're waiting for the eclipse, but it's cloudy. So
hey,
I said, I ain't doing it. I'm not an old person yet who gets excited about dumb stuff like that. I got other problems. I got teams collapsing left and right in this city.
Somebody asked me the other day, Sills, what do you make of the eclipse? I go, first off, I'm not really a tree hugger. And secondly, I'm not one of these guys that sit around and kind of worry about any other thing. I worry about what meal, if my pasta is runny. I kind of worry about that if my wife's sauce, you didn't cook it long enough. You know what I told you about getting the same tomatoes? And some guy's sitting here telling me, don't look up at the sky. And I'm like, why would I look up at the sky anyway? Oh, it's the eclipse. I go, unless it's going to rain money on me, I don't care anything about that. Isn't it funny, Angelo? When you get older, you they try to shift your attention towards things that don't matter to you.
I got to tell you the truth, though, Dan. When you texted me yesterday, I said, I'm coming on during the eclipse. And you said, I read the text to my wife, and she said, well, I guess he's an idiot like you. I said, I don't know. I think Dan is like a brilliant guy.
You tell Mrs. Cataldi that's a merit badge. I am so honored that I was called in the same room with that. I'm very excited about that. Very excited. All right. Let's get into something. Oh, by the way, congratulations on the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. I mean, so many great people in that city have gone into that thing. Players, broadcasters. I mean, John Facenda, I would imagine, is also in that thing too as well. What's that mean to you, Angelo?
Well, they called me and I was surprised because I was not, in the 33 years I was on the air in Philadelphia. I was not a guy that was popular because I ripped a lot of people. In fact, I looked at the list of the people going in with me and I ripped many of them, right? Like I know I ripped Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, Rod Brindamore, Andy Talley. I used to say, if you're that good a coach, why don't you try Division I? Let's see how you do that kind of stuff. So it's probably going to be awkward. I'm not, maybe. So here's what I got. I got a plan here, though, Dan, that I think will really get a little attention and make people laugh. I'm going to attempt to get that crowd when I'm introduced to boo me the way we booed Donovan McNabb at the 1999 draft. Because no one ever gets booed at a Hall of Fame thing. I want wall-to-wall booing. I want McNabb to see that I can take it better than he could. And like, Hall of Fame completely ruined by everyone booing. I go, that's okay. No problem.
My God. Well, maybe what you should do is have Nick Sirianni, if he's around, introduce. Hey, I'm thinking this, Angelo, since you brought the solar eclipse up, I'm wondering if that maybe saves his gig. I'm thinking not. But hey, I mean,
I'm so glad you brought that up because I've been doing a lot of, after I did the book tour, now I'm doing a lot of like classroom tour. And I was at a symposium last Friday at Villanova. And on the dais with me was the head of the law department, Andrew Brandt, who's a regular on my show.
Oh, yeah.
He's a brilliant guy. And then there was Brian Westbrook, former Eagles running back, and Howard Eskin, right? Eagles mouthpiece, right? So, and I'm saying nice stuff about him, Dan. I'm not stirring up any trouble, right? I don't need more problems. I gave a lot of credit for paving the way for the other sports talkers in Philadelphia. But then I did mention when we were talking about how nowadays it's not as rough as it used to be. And I went, all I could tell you is with 3 games to go in last season, I would have called for the firing of Nick Sirianni because he lost the team. He didn't know how to fix it. It was embarrassing. And Eskin jumps into the fore. He said, that's ridiculous. Yeah, he never lost the team. It had nothing to do with that. It was a bad roster. And and I went, wow, that bad roster was 10-1 at one point. And the coach even then didn't acknowledge the problems they were having. And the bottom line on this whole thing is that I'm watching what's going on with the Flyers right now and their coach, John Tortorella. And they are flopping and choking every bit as badly as the Eagles did. The last 2 sports franchises in Philadelphia have completely collapsed at the end. But Tortorella, in going down, Dan, he publicly pointed out the players that were not giving him enough. He benched his captain, Sean Couturier, for 2 games in the middle of it to try to wake him up. Meanwhile, Sirianni never for a second indicated that there was any problem while they were doing that. And he kept putting Bradbury out there to get killed game after game after game. And I said, Sirianni is the number one reason that team flopped. And Tortorella, I'm giving him no blame for it. because that team had no roster. They didn't belong in the fight. He kept them in it for 70-some games. And it's like, and that kid's giving me a hard time. I'm going, this is the problem. If it was a different, if the fans were more outraged at what had happened at the end of the Eagles season, Sirianni wouldn't have survived. Sirianni, I honestly think if I was still there, I might have had a chance to convince the city that he was the problem. But he's coming back. So next season, bad.
That's such a great way to look at John. I know John very well. I covered him when I was in Tampa, Angelo.
Okay.
Let me tell you what he did. I mean, after they won the cup, the next year, Nikolai Hobby Bullen wasn't playing well. He sat his ass down in a playoff. And the guy goes like this. He goes, I won a Stanley Cup last year. And here's John Tortorella. Well, you ain't winning one this year. Not the way your ass is playing. This guy sat down Marty St. Louis. He put down Vincent Lecavier. He put down all these guys. And these guys had just won a cup. The one thing about John, he is going to read you the riot act and put you on blast no matter who you are. If you can tolerate it as an organization, the one thing you'll always know about him, you know where you stand. And there lies the difference between John Tortorella and Nick Sirianni. You never know where you stand because John, he doesn't know where he stands with the organization.
And it's here's what it is from my perspective, because I look from the fan point of view. Sirianni never gave a damn to respect the fans, to give you a shred of actual information on what was going on. Meanwhile, Tortorella's out there and he goes, and at one point he ripped one of his players and he came out a couple of days later and he said, I screwed that up. It wasn't, I shouldn't have done that. And he's so open and honest. You can tell when you're in the throes of a collapse, you want the coach to be fuming, to be frustrated. And that's what you got from Tortorella, honesty. None of that from Sirianni, none whatsoever. And I'm just, you know what? Tortorella, I think, I know the president of that Flyers franchise, the guy I used to work with, Keith Jones.
Oh, love Keith.
He has tolerance for Tortorella. He understands the value of what Tortorella's doing in trying to hold people accountable. Something Sirianni never did and never will. Never will.
Never will. I want to throw this at you here. And I brought this up just a couple minutes ago. I want you, and I'm going to throw a scenario that I heard when it came to Vic Fangio. And maybe that this is a pivot change with the organization. So check this out. This is like 9-10 days now that Haason Reddick has not received a contract extension. When Joe Mixon was traded to the Houston Texans, they ripped up a deal, gave him a brand new 3-year contract. When Snead went to the Titans, made him the highest paid defensive back, brand new contract. And when Stephon Diggs went to the Texans, they voided the last 2 years, which meant this: hey, we're putting you on a 1-year deal because we're going to draft a wide receiver in the draft, and you're a stopgap guy.
Yep.
So my point is this: why in the world with the Eagles not just let Javon Hargrave had one year left on his deal, Angelo? He played through it, signed a $20 million a year deal with the Niners. Why? They had the leverage. Why wouldn't the Eagles just say, we're not paying you more? Here's $15 million, and you're going to play. The Jets are going to do this, Angelo. They're going to pay the guy 1 year. He never got a pay raise. They're going to draft an edge rusher, the kid Verse from Florida State, or the kid Dallas Turner. They're going to move him, still get a compensation pick of a 3rd round. They're going to have no harm or no foul here. And the Eagles don't get anything for 3 drafts from now. I was told this: Vic Fangio, he came up and he knew that Haason Reddick didn't like the way he was being used. He even made a comment in the locker room. If you remember, I only listen to the people upstairs and what they tell me to do. You know, I didn't think much of it then, but now I'm like, holy cow, wait a minute. He's got a problem with the way they're being used on the field. When Fangio knew and Howie knew that he was not willing to drop in coverage, That's when they got Huff on the first day of free agency. Vic Fangio has more say in that team than what Sirianni does. I mean, this whole mess, it just shows you the lack of power Nick has and how much power Howie has.
That's all entirely plausible to me. Are you smart to give Fangio that much power?
No. What's he done?
He underperformed in Miami and alienated part of his roster, right? Now you hand him the keys. That tells me you're more lost than ever. Because, first of all, they can tell me whatever they want. Reddick was the best player on that defense. And any time that Matt Patricia or Sean Desai had him dropping back in coverage, it was a stupid decision. It was dumb. It was taking your best pass rusher and taking him out of the equation to do something he's less adept at. Why would you do that? So Reddick, again, this is the same thing I was saying about A.J. Brown a while back there. These guys that were publicly bitching about the way they were being used, they were right.
They were.
They were right. Brown should have been targeted way more than he was. And you could see it now. They're completely revamping the back end of their wide receiver corps because none of the guys they would throw the ball to could catch a damn thing. And now you're seeing they're going to bring in Bryce Huff and think he's going to give them what Haason Reddick did?
No way.
He's not. It's a stupid plan. But it was, Dan, there was definitely, before they did any of that stuff, they knew they were committed to getting rid of Reddick.
Yep.
Because after they brought the new guys in, that offer wasn't so great they had to take the offer. They could have just said, play it out. You got one more year. Let's see what you can do. And they didn't. So that had to be a decision that was made before all the moves were made. And that had to come from somebody on the field. So you're right. It's probably Fangio.
That's right. I think Fangio.
Not the way to run the team. Fangio is not that great. Don't give him all that power.
I completely agree. How about this one here, Angelo? Do you believe that this football team heading into this season can overcome the losses of Haason Reddick, Fletcher Cox, and Jason Kelce? No. When you're talking about the players that they have and the leadership, there is some leadership, but do you think they can overcome the loss of those players?
No. To me, the best performer on the offense was probably Kelce, and he's gone. So you got your best performer on offense gone. Reddick is gone, and you're bringing in guys that are not as good, not as experienced, not as good leaders, and you're asking them to do more. And what did you improve? You got Saquon Barkley. That's a nice, fancy little addition to your team, but it didn't make you any better. Right? Maybe you'll pick the blitz up once in a while. That'd be nice, but it doesn't forgive all the other problems that happened. There, Dan, it's so sad to be as old as I am and know ahead of time that doom is upon us.
Oh, yeah.
That a bad season is about to happen. Because most of the people in Philadelphia would not want to believe that. They want to have hope every year. This team is not going. I'm telling you.
I agree. No, I'm with you on this thing here. And
I'm not a gambler. I am looking forward to when the official Vegas number over/under victories for the Eagles is posted, because I don't know what the
10.5.
It's out.
Yeah, 10.5.
It's 10.5. Honey, we're rich. Honey, we're rich.
It's 10.8.
10.5.
10.5.
10.5. 10.5. Are they insane? What? People are going to bet the over at 10.5?
10.5.
They won one game the last 2 months. 10.5.
I have to say 10.5 is the number Vegas.
They got a drug problem in Vegas. Oh my God. Dan, you made my day. You made my day. I'm about to call my banker. I'm going to make a one of those $1 million bets. That's the easiest money ever.
Hey, okay. Hey, let me throw this one at you. So I had to ask, and I did. You know, I threw this out to everyone. I'm like, so everyone hates Dak Prescott in Dallas. Who was his coordinator for 5 years?
Right.
And they'll go Kellen Moore. And I went, what makes you think that hire is going to be a hire that's going to help Hurts when the guy did what for the postseason for the Cowboys and Dak? You're going to get a better version of Dak Prescott with Jalen Hurts. What makes you think that hire, you know, Angelo, the more I look at these hires, Vic and Kellen, when you're telling me, well, they're an upgrade from Brian Johnson and from Sean Desai, well, we're going from the gutter. And we're going from the gutter, and you're saying, well, we clean the gutters. I mean, why am I supposed to be optimistic that he's going to make Jalen Hurts better when Dak Prescott was an ultimate failure in the postseason?
See, now that I got time on my hands, I play out scenarios like this, Dan, and I want you to think this through for a minute. So Kellen Moore takes over the offense, and Nick Sirianni's a figurehead. The offense struggles early, which I think is pretty much inevitable, all right? Now Nick is going, well, my neck is on the line. I got to take back some control.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
You know he's got – if things go awry early, Nick's got to try to save his own neck. So now you've got a tug of war between the offensive coordinator brought in by the front office, stripping the head coach of all that power on offense. But you got Nick saying, no, these are desperate times. I'm moving back into this. I'm getting more involved. Oh, you got chaos. You have they don't even know who to listen to at that point.
Do you think Nick would go to management if they started 2-4 and say, hey, or do you think last year did so much damage, Angelo, with the whole Desai and Patricia deal that they'll say, no, we'll make that call?
He will. I'm guessing here. He'll just do it and wait for more to go to hit the bosses and say, this isn't what I signed up for. I have full authority. Now, this is it. Nick, this is survival mode now. Nick barely escaped the noose before any of this. When this goes bad, and I see it, no other scenario makes sense to me. Nick will attempt as a last-ditch thing to reassume control, and then you're going to have a mess. You're going to have a mess. And, at that point, somebody's going, maybe I still don't think Sirianni survives the whole season. I don't think he makes it.
Oh, you think he's a Chip Kelly victim where they take him out somewhere?
I think he's out before the end. And if they win 10.5 games, right, I will not only shave my head, I will be decapitated. I will have somebody sever my head from my shoulder. Nick, Dan, there is zero chance they're winning 10 or 11 games. It's not possible. What are these people doing? This is it's like free money. And I don't bet, but when you see the number I put on that. Oh,
Angelo, I want to put you in sports talk mode now and kind of go away from the Eagles for a second. And I want to ask you, have you ever in your life, I can't remember me ever in my 35 years or 34 years in sports broadcasting, opening my show with women's basketball. I mean, I have never in my life. You want to hear the stat that UConn and Iowa game outdrew every college football game except Ohio State and Michigan last year. It had the highest numbers of anything on ESPN, non-football related. That's even World Cup.
Right.
And Angelo, have you ever seen anything like what you watch? I mean, I'm assuming that you tuned in. I tuned in and watched it. I've never watched more women's basketball in my life. How shocked are you?
I did very little but ridicule women's sports.
Me too.
The time I was on the air because it wasn't.
It was a non-starter.
It wasn't compelling to me. And this year, it was like they scripted it to get you interested. They had that lunatic coach from LSU, Kim Mulkey. I couldn't stand that woman. She was obnoxious. So I wanted Caitlin Clark to beat her, and she did. That was great. Now we got UConn and that horse's ass. What's the guy's name? The guy that runs it?
You know, Oriema.
Oriema, right? Oriema. I used to go on the air. I go, wow, this Oriema, he wins every year. At what point will he try coaching the men?
I always said that too.
Freaking good, right?
Right.
I don't like that guy at all, so I wanted her to beat that. Then we get to the final, and now Dawn Staley is very popular at Philly. She's a great, great player and a terrific coach. Now I'm kind of watching more passively yesterday, but I'm watching.
I know.
And when they had that comeback late, where they hit a cup, my wife can't believe her eyes. She says he's cheering at a women's basketball game. Now,
incredible.
I doubt I'm going to follow up. I think this was a one-time thing for me. But I can't deny it pointed two things out to me. One, anybody can catch lightning in a bottle.
Correct.
And two is the men's game right now is boring as hell. I don't even give a damn who wins tonight. So the combination of the two, I think America cared more about the women's final than they will tonight about the men's final.
Oh, completely. I think you're dead on with that.
That's crazy. You wouldn't have ever thought that could happen. But I'm with you. I watched it. I was involved.
I've never watched a WNBA game in my life.
No.
Do you think a WNBA team could make it in Philly?
Wow. You know, if Caitlin Clark were on it, yeah. If Caitlin Clark were on it.
So they need a polarizing player on it for it to go.
Yeah. Or this is the thing. This is one thing about sports where it doesn't matter. If you can create a scenario of good versus evil, right?
Yeah.
Like that Kim Mulkey. She's such a loudmouth, brash, attention whore. Just can't get enough. Oh, look at me, look at me, look at my fancy outfit, all that stuff, and yell it on the sideline. So then you got this girl who's just incredibly talented, one of the best shooters you'll ever see. The women's version of Steph Curry. Good versus evil, you get sides. You pick. There are people always contrarian. They'll go with the evil side, but most of them will go, "Oh, I'd love to see her get beat," and that it works. Storylines are still a big deal.
Angelo, you know what? I think you and I would broach this, and I think you would broach this too. Every time I watched her play, I was thinking of Bird and Magic and West Coast, East Coast, black and white. I mean, you had America where maybe white fans had gone away from basketball because of the politics that have been involved in it. All of a sudden, you had people interested. And to me, it's polarizing. I'm a sports guy. Sports sells. It's sports media is a business. So when you have that dynamic like that, and you have polarizing stories, like you said, I'm not watching a college basketball women's game on a Tuesday night in February. I'm not doing that. But when you have storylines like that and you have media coverage and building it up, that's what makes I call her a needle mover. She may not be the greatest player of all time, but she's one of the most polarizing, and she's a needle mover. Those are the people that you cover, are people that move the needle.
This is why, Dan, you are as good as anybody in this country at this job, because the racial component in that and what was going on was right there. It was there. There were people, the South, which has a lot of redneck types. They all wanted that white girl to be
absolutely
girl. There's no question about it. No, everyone's trying to tell you that wasn't part of this whole story, but it was. And it's not something any of us is comfortable with. We should be way past that by now. It shouldn't matter. But to so many people, it did, that it was a significant reason why there was that much interest in it. It was, if Caitlin Clark were a black woman or an African American, there would not have been the same level of interest.
She'd be another great player.
She'd be another great player, that changed the narrative for a lot of people. And most of the media, the people that were doing the games, they did not want to go near that because it takes somebody like you who is willing to, go into some sensitive areas. That's a sensitive area to go into. But that's what makes you great, because that was a significant part of what we were seeing. I'm sorry to say it, but it was.
But wasn't that, Angelo, part of the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird mystique? Because those guys, they had played in college. The NBA was on tape delayed. In '79, the Bullets and the Sonics were on tape delayed. These two guys come in, and still the highest rated game in the history of NCAA basketball is Michigan State, Indiana State. And there's a reason. You had the Hick from French Lick. You had the smiling Magic Johnson, Lakers, Celtics. Like you were talking about perfect storm, Angelo. Right. There's certain times in sports when you see the perfect storm.
Well, I am in no position to evaluate that part of it, because there is not a person who grew up in New England who hated Larry Bird more than me. as when you reference my book, The Bible, Loud, there's a whole story there of how he lied when I was just starting out. He just made up a story and then denied it the next day. But I had taped the interview, and he was, it's all in there. You got to read it.
Oh my God. I haven't got to that part.
I hated Larry Bird, and I ended up covering the Celtics when he was a star, and we never spoke one-on-one because of what had happened in this incident. Larry Bird, to me, was, I can't tell you he's not a great player, but to
not
deal
a great
with
person.
Him, total horse's ass, all right? Couldn't stand the guy. So in that argument, Magic was my guy all the way.
Me too.
All right. But I guess that was part of it too. I never related to it that way because I hated Larry so much.
Oh, I was a Magic guy. Two last questions for you here, Angelo.
Yeah.
Championship wise, do you think an athlete in a team sport has to have a championship to be considered and in the conversation of being the greatest of all time? Or is it because, like, when you look at Barry Bonds, maybe the greatest left-hand hitter, I mean, obviously the PED stuff is going to play into your evaluation of all this, or maybe Ted Williams, to go there. Ted Williams is probably the greatest left-hander without the PED stuff there that you could say never won a World Series title. I mean, do you have to have that on your resume to be considered the greatest player in your sport?
See, I can't be a hypocrite here. It shouldn't, because the superstar doesn't have control over the rest of the roster. Leadership, maybe he can help some, but he can't ordain whether or not they're going to be good enough to win a championship. But when I look at what just happened with Jason Kelce, the fact that he won a championship made everything different. All of these players from the 2017 Eagles team, it's different because they won that championship. So I would say put it in the plus column for the guy who did win it, but don't deduct points for the guy who didn't. Like, it's great that you did. You maximized your skill to win the ultimate prize. But if you didn't, I don't think we should be holding you accountable. So it's a plus, but not a minus.
You think Kelce would be looked at differently in Philadelphia if he didn't win that 17 title?
Somewhat. Not, I mean, he'd still be loved.
Would he be thought of as more like Barkley?
But not, you got to understand, not only did they win it, but the way he took over the rally and the speech and all that stuff, and the mummer's costume and all that, that added a lot to his appeal in the city. So he'd still be beloved. He'd still be, Ring of Honor, Hall of Fames, all that stuff, but not to this level, because Philadelphia just doesn't win a lot of championships. And when we get one, those people, they take a special place. And maybe if we won more, it wouldn't matter that much. It sure does with 2 championships in 35 years.
Last question for you. Embiid, if you're the Sixers and they don't go anywhere, and I know he's been injured, of course, something else. Is it time for Joel Embiid to move?
It's time to listen. It's time to listen, Dan, because you know, I was on a show a couple of days ago, and I said, you know, maybe this is how they win it. The Eagles won it when no one thought they would. They lost their quarterback. Maybe this guy getting all the rest that he has, coming back, looking good, totally ready for the playoffs. Maybe they run it now. Maybe they finally reach. I mean, Maxey is as good as he's probably going to be.
50 last night.
Lowry's going to help. Buddy Hield is going to help. They've got a lot of pieces now. If they don't do it, if they don't even get back to the conference final, you got to listen. He's not getting younger, and he damn well isn't getting healthier. And he would get you a lot. But
He would give you a treasure chest. If Anthony Davis, look what Anthony Davis's deal did for the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah.
Right now, the Pelicans look like they could be actually better than the Lakers right now. And so just think about what that could lead to the Sixers if they were to move somebody like Embiid.
Yeah. You know, what makes it a little harder is he's the last piece from the process. If you do that, you're erasing the process. And I think acknowledging failure. And that might make it harder. I don't know. Maybe not. But I would and I've never believed that they should do this because he's a real special player. But it's getting to the point of diminishing returns. You almost have to listen now.
I want to sneak one last one in on you here. I want to Jay Wright. You think he should entertain that Kentucky job?
Oh, Jay Wright. I was at Villanova last Friday. They're still talking about it because since he left, the team stinks and the program is nothing like what it was.
By the way, that Brunson guy that they said that they didn't have any NBA guys on, he's the best player in New York they've had since Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, I don't know where people are getting that. All right, here's the thing. Should he listen? Yeah, to me, as a guy significantly older than him, he should not be retired yet. So he's a brilliant coach, right? Will he listen? I'm hearing nothing about him having any desire to go back. I think he wants to live off the great record that he had at Villanova. And, you know, if that's what makes him happy, that's what he should do. That's what it's about. I just got to mention one thing. Dan, my wife's got to kill me because she's in charge of my website. We have a new, improved, revamped, totally brilliant new website at AngeloCataldi.com. Check it out. It'll give you, I just wrote another blog piece that should be up soon on the difference between the two collapses of the Eagles and the Flyers. And check it out at AngeloCataldi.com.
Make sure you tell your wife in closing here, thank you very much. Anybody who calls me an idiot next to Angelo, I can't tell you how much I love her.
She really, Dan, she really meant it. I even had her Google you. And she said, yeah, it looks like he could be an idiot. You know?
Angelo, thank you so much. I can't wait to show this to my wife. Thank you, Angelo. I love you so much, man. Thank you so
Always
much.
Always a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Folks, don't forget the book. Thank you. Oh. The greatest in the business? Funny, I get text messages from people because I make people uncomfortable. Huh? James? Xander? Holy cow. The best dude in the country. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, James, you might as well get that ready because I'm going to hey, James, I'm going to be DMing you on that one. So I don't want to have to, but I'm going to. Holy cow, that's such a great honor being called that by that guy who was just inducted into the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. Oh, yeah. Holy cow. All right. As promised, hey, Twiz, I need you to do me a favor. Okay? If I go off into a tangent and I don't give you my 5 best players, did I do this thing yet? I have not. I have 5 players that I am circling, okay, that I want to see the Eagles draft. Philly 4x4. Don't break your arm patting yourself on the back, Sills. Are you crazy? I'd put my arm in a sling after something like that. Look at Jason. There's a Philly Sports Hall of Fame. Hey, Twiz, just remind me. Oh, by the way, wait a minute. Maybe I should have somebody else do it because Twiz is on my shit list right now. He's causing problems with other hosts around the country right now. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know, Twiz. Maybe I'll leave that to you, though. Flexing, if you stop the damn spamming, you're going to have to help me, too, a little bit here. Oh, yeah. The Sixers and the Cowboys are in the same boat. Thank you, Sue. Where's Ed Reed at? Shut up, Twiz. Big Sills, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Don't forget, 4:30 Eastern Time. Our good friend Gary Cobb will join us. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz and Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Jalen Hurts at the women's final. Pretty cool. By the way, Carson Wentz's deal is for $3.24 with incentives in Kansas City. And they're very excited to have him. Andy Reid said this guy still has a lot of football left in him. We're very excited, and he's probably the best backup that Patrick Mahomes has ever had. So we'll prepare him, and Andy's looking forward to coaching him. Okay? Wow. Andy Reid, Carson Wentz. Interesting. How about if this scenario plays out? Mahomes goes down. Playoffs. Wentz comes in and wins 3 games. Wins a divisional game, the AFC Championship, and the Super Bowl. And he goes full circle. How you doing? Yeah. So he goes in and he takes over and he leads the Kansas City Chiefs to a Super Bowl. Damn. Everybody in Philly would be like, damn, our coach won a Super Bowl and our former quarterback won a Super Bowl. Well, actually, he has won a Super Bowl. The current guy you have will never, but that's okay. That's a different deal. And then Carson Wentz will have 2 rings, and your guy will have a nice, shiny backup ring or something. I don't know. Wentz is a business savant. Guy started like 4 seasons in the league and made over $150 million. How you doing? That's how you do it, bro. 150, baby. Okay? Sills, they'd be very pissed that happens. Okay? I would be happy for Carson. We will have 2 rings. Never! You need to start the show with Stone Cold's theme. Actually, if I were to start my show with a theme song, it would be the Bulls music that they played when they had their introductions. That would be my walk-up music. Is when, and now, from the University of Miami, Big Sills. There he is. That's what I would have. I would have that music played, and I would have Big Sills running out like he was a bull. Yeah, right? James, right? You know, Big Sills. And now, for the University of Miami, Big Sills. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I love that. That's one of the greatest introductions of all time when the Chicago Bulls were doing that. And now you're 5-time NBA champions. I love that. That was one of my favorites. Sills would destroy Bills. Who's Bills? Oh, yeah, that guy. Oh, okay. Yeah. What am I doing? A little wet behind the ears. It's okay. Don't worry about it. We're good. Wentz didn't play any playoff games. I know. He just went 11-2. Helped you here. Okay, hey, before we get Gary Cobb on, I have to do this. I am looking at 5 players that I would be comfortable with the Philadelphia Eagles drafting. Okay? I am looking at 5 players. And here they are. Here we go. You guys have talked me into this guy. You've talked me into him. And, oh God, Mark Holmes is here, and he blocks every Eagle fan in this chat. Is he in here? If Mark's in here, say hi, Mark. I actually starting to like this guy. We had some good conversations over the weekend. Absolutely. Now, I may have to pivot if he's in here because I'd like to talk to him about whether or not that Micah Parsons deal is true. Okay? Because I don't want the Eagles to go after that guy. I would not. And I said that. I think he's overrated, and I think he's overhyped. All right. So let's go on. Let's do the 5. And let's do the 5 players. You guys have talked me into this guy. And I'm looking at him. I watched a ton of tape on him over the weekend. And defensive back, Cooper DeJean from Iowa. I'd be interested. Fast as hell, little bit injury prone. That's my problem again here. I like him better than Kool-Aid. Believe it or not, he looks better. And the scouts at the combines thought he looked better and had better interview. But again, Kool-Aid played in such a great conference with so many great players. I mean, it's a hard one, and I'm not big when it comes to which rounds. No, this is the first pick at 22. This is the first pick at 22. These 5 guys that I'd be comfortable with at 22. You have no control over your board. Okay? No, you have no control at 22. Okay? I know, Xander, the more I watch this Cooper DeJean kid from Iowa, the more I don't like Kool-Aid McKinstry. He just looks better. I mean, okay? Number 4, Demarius Mims, offensive tackle, Georgia. Down there, 22, 92 rating. The top guy is Alt, and he's 94. So you're not that far off from that. Look at this. The difference between the 10th pick and the 22nd pick is 2 percentage points when it comes to your evaluation. That's great. That's great. Sills, he just looks white, I mean, right? Maybe that's why I'm having a problem with it. But to draft a white corner? Okay. Yeah. Hey, okay. All right. Hey, you know what? You want me to be honest? Sure. Okay. He's retired, and technically a certified ranking. Okay. He's retired, technically. Okay. Well, because he called me the best in America. Don't worry. I get guys you wouldn't believe who text me because I make them uncomfortable too. And sometimes 4:30 in the morning, my time. Hey, done. Okay. Number 3, Talisi Fuaga, Oregon State, OT. I think this kid here is as good as John Alt. And if he's sitting there at 22, I don't know how you don't draft him. He's spectacular. And according to the coaches, Jeff Stoutland is in love with him. Absolutely in love with the guy. So, number 2, Chop Robinson, special player, special talent. Put some film on. Watch him. I think he'll have a better career than Micah Parsons will. Edge rusher, Penn State. Number 1. Let me see here. What did the guy say? John Alt is a beast, and he's number 1. Outside of Zach Martin, name me another Notre Dame offensive lineman that program has produced in the last 25 years where you thought he was a special all-pro guy. Notre Dame doesn't produce a lot of great players for the NFL. Who? In the last 10 years, the kid, the safety that's in Baltimore, okay. In the last 10 years, Name me another Notre Dame guy. Zach Martin. Who else? No quarterbacks. No wide receivers. No tight ends. No defensive tackles. No edge rushers. Nate Wiggins is from Clemson. I mean, that program doesn't produce a lot of NFL superstars, Notre Dame. Cole Kmet. Quentin Nelson. Quentin Nelson is in the last 10 years. Nelson. Okay, so you got two. You guys are naming people I've never heard of. Come on, LJ. You just hate the guy because he's a Cowboy. That's why you should hate the hire of Kellen Moore. And the number one guy that I would like to see the Eagles draft is Brock Bowers. Bowers, Chop, Talisi Fuaga, Amarius Mims, and Cooper DeJean. If the Eagles land on any of those five, I'm good with those five dudes. You got to remember something. At 22, you have no control of your draft. You have no control, okay, of your draft. But you got to remember, we're building up a pool of players on who potentially they could take at 22. And those would be the five guys that I'd be okay if they landed on those guys. Because the quarterbacks are going to dictate what goes up or down here. Yeah, Notre Dame, man, they don't produce anybody. Ricky Waters. I mean, you're talking 25, 30 years ago. They don't produce running backs. Who's the greatest running back Notre Dame's ever produced? Ferguson Vegas? Or Vegas Ferguson? Who? Jerome Bettis. Jerome Bettis for sure. But remember, he was a Prop 48 kid. He didn't have the grades to get in Notre Dame. He never would have went to Notre Dame if it wasn't for Prop 48. Joe Montana, that's 100 years ago. So when you say Notre Dame and you go like this, Sills, this guy all is going to be great. And I'm like, well, okay, who's he playing against? Marshall? Alan Pinkett was okay. LJ, thank you, I think. LJ shows you, again, super chats. Yeah, you know, I think I started a monster with the thing that the super chats get pushed to the top. Didn't you want us to take the safety from Notre Dame? Yeah, Hamilton. Would you rather have Hamilton or would you rather have LJ's favorite player, Jordan Davis? Would you rather have Jordan Davis or Hamilton? Yeah, hey, you guys are bringing, hey, you know, no, I had a good conversation with the guy. Yeah, you know, what the, I'm not going, you know, that's not going to work. Come on now. I'd still stick with Davis. He says he'd stick with Davis. Oh, it was great catching up again with Angelo Cataldi. Really was, man. Love talking with Angelo. Don't forget, check out his book. So, I wonder what Gary thinks of that topic, and I'm gonna ask him in a second here what he thought of the topic that we asked Angelo, but also this Micah Parsons story is wild. I think he's overrated. I do. I'm not paying $30 million for an edge guy. Okay? And let's bring Gary Cobb in right now. Gary, it seems to be true that the Cowboys right now, one of the reasons that they have like a zipper on their wallet right now is because they're either going to pay CD, Dak, or Micah. And get this, supposedly they're open to each and every single one of those guys and fielding calls on maybe moving one of those players for potential draft picks. Now, my contention is, and Michael Irvin's contention is that they want to move off of Dak and they want to go Shedeur Sanders in next year's draft and draft him to replace Dak. And that's why Dak is on a 1-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
At the Eagles, first and foremost, with the Cowboys trade. Now, if everyone forgets, and you have to remember, the Cowboys traded with the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken, and this is how the Eagles got Devontae and the Cowboys got Micah Parsons. Could you see something like that ever transpiring between the two?
Well, I guess, because, if they feel like they're getting what they want, it's something that's unusual when you got, rivals, especially right now, if you look at the division, they're the two best teams. That's not really, anything to debate about. I mean, they're clearly the two best teams in the division. So they're going head to head against each other. So a lot of times teams don't do business with somebody that is that close to them, but they have done something, but I wouldn't say that, especially, I don't think either one of them wants to help the other team, So
give me your assessment on Parsons. I think if I'm not mistaken, the player a little bit.
Yeah, I know him. I met him when he was he was a freshman in high school, and the NFL had this thing where they brought them all into Philadelphia over at the University of Penn, and they wanted us to talk to the young players, and he was one of the guys they assigned me to talk to him, and talk to him about what he needed to do, because they could clearly see he had special talent. So they identified all these guys. And I talked to him about, of course, I'm talking to him about going to college, and how he needs to make sure he's hanging around the right people. Don't hang around the wrong guys, you get in trouble, things like that. But he was a good kid. I mean, you could see that, and most of the guys are. If they know they're good, it's a challenge to keep their head, to not think they're going to just rewrite everything. And he does have that type of talent, but I think with the Cowboys, it's almost not a good thing because it's just too much attention, and but I think he is. I mean,
how do you think he's handling it?
How do I think he's? Well, I just think that, I think he's having some challenge with it. You could see during games where he's just thinking he wants to make a big play. And it's a tough because everybody knows where he's lining up. Wherever he's lining up, they got him circled and everything. So I haven't heard anything that he's doing that bad, even though, I'm not down there. I don't know what's going on with his teammates and things like that. But, he's a great player. I think at times he might try to do things and almost kind of trap himself, because, he really is circled. I mean, teams do not leave him by himself one-on-one with people a lot of times.
I think he takes things too personal when there's criticism.
Probably so. Yeah, I think you got to be able to just ignore it. And
yeah,
and I think as that he tries to maybe respond too much to stuff, ignore it, man. You're taking care of somebody. You're doing what they want by reacting to whatever somebody said or wrote. Let it go, man. As long as you handle your business, and that's the shame about some of that. I think there are a lot of young players who run into that, and I must say that when we played, come on,
yeah,
you didn't have to deal with all the social media.
True.
And the thing about it is they got to know, look, if you respond to somebody that writes something, you're doing what they want. You just made the guy some money.
Absolutely 100%.
See, but he doesn't know that. And, especially, you got some people that know what they're talking about. Come on, there are a lot of guys out here don't know what they're talking about. The guy's got to write an article. He don't know whatever. He don't even know the size of the football or whatever. He don't know nothing about football, but he's got to write an article, and if he responds to it, he's doing the guy a favor.
The signing of Avonte Maddox is what to you?
I think that I don't think they probably gave him a lot of money.
Nope.
He's been hurt.
There's only $870,000 guaranteed when, quite frankly, if you remember right, he was scheduled to make $7 million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he's like with 1.3 or 1.2 somewhere in there. So,
he's been hurt. He's been getting hurt all the time. I mean, he's a
good player.
He's a good player. That's right. But he's got to stay healthy. I mean, you can't not have a guy where you're depending on a guy and he's never there. You cannot keep investing in him. So I think he understands, and hopefully they gave him some money there to where if he does play, he's going to make more money. But I can't blame the Eagles if they're going like, we can't keep paying you. You're hurt all the time, because he is a good player when he's healthy. He's smart. He's a guy who doesn't mind going in there, and he will tackle in there. And, a lot of, the corners, come on, they don't want to tackle anybody. He will go in and tackle, and he's a smart player, and he communicates, and he's a good team guy. Just got to stay healthy. But if he doesn't stay healthy, you can't pay him. So, unfortunately, I know it's hurt him, but I think they're being fair to him.
Gary, it's been 10 days since the Reddick trade. And the reason I bring it back up again is because there's no contract extension from the Jets. And think about this. So the Jets, I think, are the only people that win in this, because I don't think the Jets are going to give him a contract extension, which would mean this. He plays out his year at $15 million. And I'm going to go somewhere with this here. And they draft an edge rusher, maybe the kid Dallas Turner from Bama.
Mm-hmm.
They're at 10. They trade back, and they get the kid Turner, or they get the kid Verse from Florida State. They get a compensation pick of a third rounder. Now, where I'm going with it is Devon Hargrave. He was on a 1-year contract, and the Eagles had made it very clear they were not going to bring him back. But he played it out.
Yeah.
Why isn't Reddick on this team? And the Eagles just didn't do this. You're going to make $15 million. And get this, you don't even get compensation for 3 drafts from now. So it wasn't like you're going to get something in return here in 18 days for the draft.
Yeah.
You have to wait 3 drafts for that. Why did they make him play out the contract like they did Javon Hargrave, who signed a $20 million per annual deal with the Niners? I'm still not getting this.
I don't get it. I told you last week, I mean, come on. He's helping the Jets this year.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now, if he's not going to be
at the same price,
I mean, if he doesn't get any money, come on, this makes no sense. And the Eagles are a now team. You see other teams, they're not now. They know they're not going to win anything now. The Eagles are coming in and going, look at our offense. That is a now offense, meaning we want to win now, and we plan on winning now. We didn't sign all these guys to go through the motions. We think we can win this thing. And that's, mentality and everything. And I think if I'm on the team, I'm going like, what are you doing?
Doesn't make sense.
Come on. I mean, I know none of the guys are going to say anything publicly, but how could they not go, hey, look, we don't know what these kids are going to do. Come on. You guys don't know what these kids are going to do.
Even the new guy.
We're going to just give him away, and we get nothing this year, and we don't get anything to We don't even get anything in 2025. It's
No.
2026.
3 drafts from now, you don't get anything.
Come on.
And Reddick's he's playing for the same money.
Come on.
He would have made, and people they're coming up, well, he would have held out. Why Hargrave didn't?
And then, I know this is a little off the charts a little bit, but Haason Reddick was doing things business-wise here in Philadelphia. And him playing here fits. He's from this area. He's going to be back here, after the season. And look, he's invested in this area. He would want to stay. And really, it really kind of fits some of the things he's doing that he's here. So it doesn't make any sense. Now he's not that far away, but he was doing things here as an Eagle and everything. And it just opening the door for other things for him after he finishes playing. He's from this area, but you give him away, and that's what it is. That's giving him away. You got nothing for him, and we're trying to win now. You tell us it looks like everything else. You're trying to win now. That's everything you're doing. Look at the move you make. You sign Barkley because you want to win now. This is what you're saying, and then you go give maybe. Definitely your best pass rusher.
Your best defensive player.
Come on. That makes no sense. I mean, they need to answer for that. Come on. What is it? I haven't heard the answer yet. What is it? I mean, don't tell me anything about this deal because you gave the guy away.
Gave him away.
Come on.
I'm and I was waiting. I was hoping that because, again, Snead got a contract extension when the Titans signed him away from Kansas City. Even Joe Mixon,
come on,
got a deal. When they traded for him with Cincinnati down to Houston, it just
doesn't make sense.
Absolutely didn't make sense. All right, I just asked Angelo this, and I want to get your perspective, like from a sports talk view here, and also I'm going to tie it into Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark did not win the national championship in team sports. Do you believe you have to have that championship ring to be considered one of the greatest players in the history of your respected sport?
No, because, you can be that great and you don't get enough help. I mean, I think that, I unfortunately I didn't see that game. I didn't see the game. I saw her. I mean, the girl's from a different planet. I mean,
she's the chick version of Steph Curry.
I mean, that's what you got. I mean, come on, nobody shoots from out there, and you're talking about in the ladies, and she just
some of it's half court almost.
I mean, come on, bottom, just she lets it go. You can see, and then you see her working out, and you go, my goodness. This is her range. I mean, she's, when she lets it go, she knows it's bottom.
The goof was that her range is when she stepped into the arena.
I mean, it's about that. I know. Come on, I've never seen. Well, come on. Be fair to her. Come on, most of the guys in the NBA, they could not shoot with her. Come on, the girl can shoot. Anyway. Okay, what was I getting ready to say?
Yeah, I mean, do you have to have a championship?
Well, you know what? I mean, as long as she does her part, you got to get help. Come on, if you're playing against a great team, which they were playing against, South Carolina's a great team. She's not going to win the game by herself. Everybody else has got to play well. Come on, we know that. Why are guys in the Hall of Fame? I mean, a lot of guys are in the Hall of Fame. Now, I know a lot of them, you might not say the greatest of all time, but some of them, I mean, they got numbers. I mean, you look at
Warren Moon.
What's that?
Warren Moon.
That's right. I mean, look at Warren Moon. I mean, Marino, when he played, come on. They didn't have a full team. They didn't have a defense like a lot of the other guys have. And if you look at the great teams, they had a full team. Come on. Look at the great teams down the road. If you look at the old Steelers back then, come on. Yeah, Bradshaw was a great quarterback.
Every offensive player that was a skilled player, the two receivers, one running back, and the quarterback, and the center are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
That's right. And look at the defense. Come
Ham, Lambert, Green,
That's
Blunt.
right. Yeah.
I mean, and the other guys were
They had the linebacker.
Greenwood.
What I say, Russell, he was there.
Yeah, Russell was there. LC Greenwood.
Come on, man. So they won, but they had a team that won, and they beat a lot of guys that were great players on the other team, but they got a full team they're coming from every angle. So you had them. If you look down through the great players, I mean, they had great players. I mean, with all due respect to Montana with the Niners, come on, they had great people with them. Now he was a great player, but so that's why I think that I would say that, especially somebody that's just carrying a team, you got to get some help when you're playing it, when you get up to that elite level. Now you could get them there, but to win it, you got to get help. That's what I would say. That would be my
Gary,
opinion.
do you
on
think
that.
the people in Philly would look at Jason Kelce differently if he didn't win in 17? I asked Angelo this.
Now, in fairness, yeah, probably, because it kind of caps, even though it wouldn't be saying he's a better player than they already, but because they did win it, it kind of caps things off. But, come on. Nick Foles just basically showed up, playing out of his mind. And that's what's so crazy about that game.
That guy was on greatness juice.
Come on. He had to play his greatest game ever, and they still barely got out of there because that doggone Brady was still coming back, man. I tell you, and I mean, he was still coming back. And then threw for 500 yards, and they lost. Threw for 500 yards.
And lost.
And we were walking off the field, and I was out there, Brandon Graham. I said, Brandon, man, do you know how long it's going to be that people remember the play you made, dude? I said, dude, you don't even realize. And he didn't. He's walking off. He doesn't realize the play he made, he will forever be remembered because of that play. And they don't make that play, they probably end up losing that game, man.
Absolutely.
That doggone Brady, woo! But you need everybody else to play. And amazingly, the defense really, come on, they made that one play. The defense.
It was totally, they made that play. And like you said, they got one stop.
Yeah, one stop.
Ball game.
Because they weren't stopping them other than that.
I've got to end it with this one here. Mm-hmm. So today, Andy Reid addressed finally Carson Wentz signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. They gave him $3.5 million. And Xander says that here's a guy that's probably played a total of 5 years completely, and he's made $150 million. I mean, and Andy says he's still got some ball left, and he's looking forward. You just mentioned Nick Foles. Could you see this? Mahomes goes down in the postseason. This dude takes, and Andy Reid takes him, and they go all the way to the Super Bowl, and they win it. I'll tell you what, man. Hey, that's something. There's nobody on the planet who'd be rooting for that in Philadelphia.
The thing is, he's capable of it, but
he is.
He just have that way where he tries to force things, and if you do that, you turn the ball over. That's been his downfall. But if he will just play way he's capable, the guy should be starting in the NFL. I'm going like, dude, what is it you don't get? Don't force. If it's not there, don't force it. If you can see the guy's covered, still try to throw it in there. Come on, you can't have that kind of mentality.
You know what, Gary? I brought this up about him, and you tell me covering him.
Yeah.
I said prior to Los Angeles when he got hurt, that guy was playing like Josh Allen, the way he ran, the way he was physical.
Yeah.
Everything. And you were like, holy shit, this guy is something. He looked like Brett. I thought he looked like Brett Favre, the way he played.
Yeah.
Am I right to say this? After that LA game, the organization stopped running him, tried to make him more of a pocket passer. Reich leaves, holding the ball too long, patting the ball.
Yeah.
Sacks, fumbles, turnovers, all of that. Am I not watching the same thing going on with Jalen Hurts here, 22, he's electric. 23,
Yeah.
he's not electric because they stopped running him and using the RPOs. Are we not seeing the same thing being done here to Jalen a little bit? Because people keep telling me that Kellen Moore is a great hire. Well, what exactly did he do with Dak in Dallas? I don't see it. I mean,
well,
the organization has too much. Do you think they have too much say in the direction of how they're coaching and developing Jalen?
Well, I thought Jalen was really different than Carson because
I think he's stronger mentally.
Yeah, but what I mean is the way they utilize him. They didn't really call plays for Carson to run. They didn't run a lot of where they got the RPOs. They didn't run a lot. It was Carson just ad-libbing and that's where he held on to the ball. A lot of times is when they were throwing the ball. He didn't really do a lot in the running game. They didn't have him running, with the RPOs and things. They didn't have that when he was here. And of course, after he gets hurt, they're not going to be running RPOs. So he did a lot of things where it was in the passing game where he would hold on to the ball. He's gonna find something, and then he's scrambling, and he would run, but it would be on plays where he was in the midst of his scrambling, where he's trying to make something happen. He won't throw the ball away. There's nobody open, and then he tries to force it in there, and then he would turn the ball over, or he gets hit and stripped and he fumbles. So, Carson was kind of different. And, he just had a mentality where he's going out and saying, I'm going to find a way to win this game. And I know he's thinking that way, but you're not going to do it turning the ball over. I mean, and that's what
I think he thinks he's Patrick Mahomes without the talent.
I think that's, that's who he really plays like. And the thing about Mahomes is he makes great decisions. He doesn't turn the ball over. Now, if he were turning the ball over, I'm sorry, we couldn't do that. But he makes good decisions. Carson does the same thing, only he forces it in. The guy's covered, force it in and get the ball picked off. And now, they're ready to get rid of you. So, but that's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
I can't wait. Gary, I'll leave you with this. Did you envision any other way that you would see Jason Kelce, but in a WWE ring at Lincoln Financial, sitting there, and then there's Lane Johnson in that mask, and he gets in there. I mean, that was really a great event. It really was, and Philly embraced that event. I can't think of a better city. I mean, I'll tell you what really did another city you played in. Yeah. Detroit's a really great WWE city because I think the third WrestleMania was there, and that was the one where Hogan slammed Hulk or Andre the Giant.
Yeah,
and that was a great one too. So I mean, it was just a really great event in Philadelphia, man. Yeah, WrestleMania on Saturday.
They did a great job. I'm glad they did that because it just have them go out and have some fun with that and everything. And
hey, you know what I told The Rock? I told The Rock, he goes, "Hey, I'm coming to Philly," and I go, "Hey, I'm doing heel stuff now." I go, "Just take a shit on Jalen. They'll hate you. Don't worry."
He knows how to get the attention.
He did. He surely did. Gary, thank you so much, my friend.
All right, have a good one.
You got it. That's right. Hey, Gary Cobb, don't forget, Fox 29, Philadelphia. Get a chance to watch him. Then again, it's not that hard to take a shit on Jalen. Just go 15 turnovers. They're done. By the way, I can't believe how many morons are in here. You guys are morons. It's a Monday. Hey, ECW was spectacular. Sills is obsessed with Hurts. No. Ty, I'm obsessed with good players. Hey, okay? That's not fair, LJ. That's not fair, okay? Yeah. That's not fair, okay? And that's not nice, okay? Yeah, hey, Ty, can't go 5 minutes? You kidding me? It's easy. See Jalen rolling around at the national championship game. like he's a celebrity. Shit. Celebrity my ass. Celebrity. No, he's like a B actor. You know, you go watch them off-Broadway plays. That's who he is. He's off-Broadway. And here's Patrick Mahomes. Here's Jay-Z. Here's Josh Allen. Here's Joe Burrow. And here's Jalen Hurts. Who? Oh, man. Who? Come on, Ty. Who's Jalen Hurts? Oh, yeah, that's the guy that lost his job at Bama with all that talent. Don't worry. Hey, Ty, here's how many games. As a matter of fact, I got a number here. How many games until he's replaced? Let's see. 17, 7. How many games until Jalen Hurts is replaced? I wrote it down. What do you got? Over, under. I got a number here. How many games until he's replaced? Brian says 15. Brian. 15. Lorenzo, 16. Hurts has at least 2 years left. One with Nick and one with new coach. So he's saying 34? Xander says 34 games. Let's see here. John, this is crazier than I thought. 7. Clay, 1,600. Yeah, okay. Shooter, 4. He's not getting replaced. Maybe 4 or 5 years. The same as Allen. Big Sills, am I wrong? Thinking the Eagles are at most a 6-win team this season? You're more in line with me. Angelo thinks 5. I think 7. So you're kind of in the middle. Okay? Howie, because of dissing on the backers, one of the worst drafting GMs as well, defensively. Y'all smoking meth, laced with crack if you think Hurts is going to. So I'm going to go, LJ says 0. Let's see. Here's what I got. I'm going to tell you after the timeout here. I'll tell you after the timeout how many games I got Jalen Hurts being replaced. Xander's got 34. John's got 7. Brian's got 15. Lorenzo has 16. LJ has 0. Howie will not let him out. 34. Jalen is not leaving Philly. He's a franchise quarterback. Idiotic people. Hey, Dick Train. You have to be an elite talent to be a franchise quarterback. You think Brock Purdy's a franchise quarterback? MVP season. Dak had a better year. Replaced by who this season? The greatness of Small Hands Pickett. Small Hands Pickett. Rock 'em. Yeah. Okay. Eagles, okay talent, but the coaching staff will be the demise, unfortunately. Ooh, Taylor. Taylor. I'm going to tell you when I get back, we're going to reset. Hit the like button. Another segment of clickbait by Sileo on a Monday. No, another reality comment by Big Sills. Even Dick Train knows I'm right. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans, were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything. Everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. How you doing? There's only 4 quarterbacks in the National Football League right now that have won Super Bowls that are current starters. But your guy's going to be a Super Bowl winner. Rodgers, Wilson, Stafford, and Mahomes. 85% of the league right now hasn't won a Super Bowl, but your guy will. Incredible to think that. And the only guy in your franchise's history to win one is a guy who's probably not ranked in the top 10 quarterbacks in your history. He's like the Stan Humphries of Philadelphia. Only difference is he won one and an MVP, which is insane. Like Gary said. I mean, so look at Dak here. Dak has done nothing but choke in every big game he's ever played in. Don't try to sell me on Dak being good. You just hired his coordinator. You just hired his coordinator. Don't sell me on Kellen Moore then. Don't sell me on Kellen Moore. How can you sell me on Kellen Moore if you're not sold on Dak? 9 years of nothing, 5 years of nothing under Moore. How in the world can you tell me that the Kellen Moore hire is great when you just told me that Dak is nothing? How can you? Dak is good. It's the Cowboys holding him back. I agree. Number one offense with Kellen Moore. Jalen won't choke. You mean like against Baker Mayfield? Drew Lock, Kyler Murray, Tommy DeVito. You mean against them guys? Jalen wins his first what? I'm with you. What? His first public appearance? How can you tell me that? Wait a minute. Dak sucks, but Moore's great. You know, he had the number one offense. Some offensive coordinators win ball games. Some put big numbers up. I don't know. By the way, didn't Sean Desai do a really good job against Dak and the Cowboys? Jonathan Gannon beat Kellen Moore last year or 2 years ago. Jonathan Gannon. Jalen never lost to DeVito. It was Tyrod Taylor and Drew Lock. Reliable backups. No shame losing to Zach Wilson. Baker Mayfield. No shame. Hey, for all the credit you get for beating Mahomes and for Josh Allen, you get shit on for the other ones. Damn. And you win games that don't matter. I mean, you beat some good quarterbacks, but then you turn around in a stretch run and you just lay a rotten egg. You can't succeed without failing. Hey, that's on a billboard somewhere. Defense lost most of those games. You scored 9 points against the Bucs. What are you talking about? At least my guy, Josh Allen, lost to Mahomes. I mean, oh, man. I think Hurts will be the – oh, yeah, that's right. So some of you guys here, let me see. Here's how many games I think before Hurts is replaced. The NFL is going to reverse. The NFL is going in reverse far as black quarterbacks. There's a lot of running backs, including the number one pick, the draft, 14 black quarterbacks. Okay. Not sure where we're going there, Death Row. Okay. Come on, Dick Track. You got to be here. Here's how many games. John's got 7. Brian's got 15. Lorenzo's 16. Xander thinks 34. LJ says 0. Here's the number. When I think Hurts will be replaced as a starting quarterback in Philly. $24. He's got 24 games to prove he could be the quarterback here, or he's done. In the next 24 games, and boy, you better not have a really shitty 2024 here, because this thing can expedite quicker. I say he's got 24 games to prove himself. Kellen Moore got Dak the number one offense. Let him nowhere. And when that number one offense, every time it ran into, and then it ran into Brock Purdy and got beat. Brock Purdy and Kellen Moore. Great. 24 games. Hurts is out. I think coaching is going to be the problem again. The more and more that I do this, the more and more I look at both your hires. One guy just got rid of your best defensive football player, and the other guy hasn't done anything to quantify me to say that he's a great offensive coordinator and he is a guy who develops people. He had the number one offense. How do you know that wasn't Mike McCarthy's influence? Because Mike McCarthy last year had Dak playing his best football in his entire 9-year career. It wasn't under Moore. It was under him. He had 9 picks last year. You guys make it sound like Prescott's a turnover machine. He's not. He's not. He's absolutely not. The coaching sucks, in my opinion. Brian, I agree. Head coach stinks. Both coordinators are mediocre hires. I think they're mediocre hires. How in the world did you go and say that you hired guys who never won Super Bowls or who have horrible records in the postseason? You're telling me that you have guys with no resumes on doing anything, and then you look at Kansas City, and Kansas City has resumes of the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator with 7 Super Bowls as wins. And Reed's been to what, 5? You got 9 Super Bowl appearances between Andy Reid and Spagnuolo, and you have none for your coordinators. Where in the world do you think you have an upgrade, even over Mike McCarthy? Even the head coach, Dan Quinn, has been to more Super Bowls than Nick Sirianni. Think about that. He's been to 3. Dan Quinn's been to 3 Super Bowls. The main problem is signing players before knowing the scheme and fitting them in. It's dumb. Or you mean firing them, right, John? What did the Cowboys do last year? Went as far as the Eagles. And won the East. That's kind of some of the Eagle metrics in here. Went just as far as you, but actually won the East. You surrendered the East. No comment, Slagger. I'll get another text message from Xander if I answer that one. At this point, I wish Sirianni was a minority. Oh my God. I just did a Ron Burgundy moment. I should never have read that. I apologize. I just did a Ron Burgundy. Oh, 2022 Packer game is what got Kellen fired. 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, wouldn't run the ball, so Rodgers couldn't have enough time to come back. He's a terrible situational play caller. Yeah, that's how I see it too. The more you do your homework on him, you're like, all right, he's out. And to go, well, is he an upgrade to last year? You know, Brian Johnson did beat Miami and Vic Fangio. He did beat Dallas. He did beat Kansas City. He did beat Buffalo. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. You know, I mean, that's when we're talking about turning an offense around here. Just, again, I don't see it. All right. I want to reset some of these topics we did in the first hour. And the Eagles talking about potentially, or not them, but conversations where people are talking about Micah Parsons. And I went over to my Twitter page and I looked at it. And now I get where people are coming up going, well, you know, it looks like the Cowboys. Now that could be negotiations too, where they're trying to get him off a number. But there's a reporter that's in Dallas who's kind of around the team a lot, and they're saying that Micah Parsons has worn his welcome out in Dallas. Could that be? Yeah, because like Gary said, I think this guy gives a shit too much what people think about what they say about him. And he's very sensitive when people are critiquing his play. And the worst thing that happened to him was they compared him to Lawrence Taylor. There's no comparing yourself to that. It'd be like comparing Jalen Carter to Reggie White. You're not doing that. You're just not doing that. Okay? You're not doing that. LJ goes 1-6 was our Super Bowl hangover. Make it all you want. You'll be flip-flopping when they're 10-win game. No, I will not. If they win 10 games and shit the bed, what does it matter? Taking victory laps because you won 11 games last year and got dusted in the playoffs? Sure. See, LJ doesn't like to be compared to the Kansas City Chiefs. He likes to be compared to the Jets. He thinks that's fair. Don't compare us to the best. Compare us to, like, the Jets. You know? Kellen Moore had Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert, like one of the best tandems in the league. That team just got plagued with injuries and washed running back. Well, Slasher, let me ask you this. How many quarterbacks did Kevin Stefanski have in Cleveland this past year? And by the way, they beat the Niners, who beat the friggin' piss out of you. Slasher, how many quarterbacks did Cleveland have to make it to the playoffs this year? 5? Am I right? How many quarterbacks did they have? Until they landed on Flacco. They had to call him off the couch, right? How many? Austin Eckler, correct. Is Austin Eckler isn't Saquon? Yeah, because Eckler's healthier. The Eagles, Dick Train says the Eagles are the class of the NFC. Not on defense, you're not. You're the joke of the NFC. Prescott can't make the real tight throws when the defense puts the pressure on the pocket. Neither can, dude. If Dak Prescott can't make the tough throws, Hurts is the non-quarterback. Dak Prescott throws better football than Hurts. He's a better passer. He's done things already, even in the early part of his career. Hurts has 2 1,000-yard receivers, and he can't get over 3,900 passing yards. You find that weird? Like 3 to 4 quarterbacks. So wait a minute. But that defense they have was absolutely insane. Myles Garrett was single-handedly winning them games. He was a defensive player of the year. It's fair. But they also have great coaching. Jim Schwartz, a former defensive coach who won a Super Bowl and was named the defensive coach, assistant coach of the year this past season. And you have a play-calling head coach, which in Philly you don't. The Seahawks are a quarterback away. I still think they need some help at offensive line. I think the coaching is going to be the downfall for a second straight year of the Eagles. LJ, second straight year, shit hires. Bang. Sometimes Big Sills runs into a fire way too early. Would be good on the border wall. What border wall? You ripped it down. J.J. McCarthy on his way to Philly. I'll take Hurts. Hey, I'll take Hurts. J.J. McCarthy or Jalen Hurts? I'll take Jalen. Jalen Hurts or Caleb Williams? I'll take Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts or Jaden Daniels. I'll take Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts or Drake May. Drake May looks like Carson Wentz to me. He does. He looks like Carson Wentz. I don't see it. I do not see it. Bill's good. Here. Please do me a favor. Do not go after Micah Parsons. Okay? They give me Drake May. No way. I have no interest in that. Which version of Carson Wentz? The bad. Hey, Slagger, the bad one. Not the good one. Not the good one. You take a 6-game stretch of Jalen's career where the whole team shit the bed and make it sound like he's a bum. That's not what this is. You see, what he's just done, he's changed the narrative. See what LJ's done? What's wrong with that comment that he just made? What's wrong with that? They're changing Jalen for the worse. In Buffalo, they changed Josh Allen for the best. They started winning games. Less turnovers. And went to his strengths. In Philly, like they did Wentz, they're ruining him. Go back to 22. Big Sills will go back to 22. Get further away from 22. Big Sills will get further away from Hurts winning anything. Get this. Jalen threw less INTs than your boy Allen and still finished second in the MVP and won a division title and lost to Mahomes in the playoffs, who eventually went on to win the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl MVP. It's one thing to lose to him. It's another thing to lose to a guy who was on his 4th team, Baker Mayfield. A little different. But obviously you don't see that. Or you don't want to see that. How can a guy have more turnovers and still win his 4th division title and have a 700 win percentage? You see, the only thing you have, LJ, on Allen is the turnovers. It's not winning because he wins a ton and he wins as much as your guy. And the only thing you land on is this. Well, he took a team to the Super Bowl. So did Rex Grossman. Now, look at LJ. Disrespecting Jim Kelly. It'd be nice if you guys ever got to Super Bowls with Donovan McNabb outside of one. It'd be kind of good, wouldn't it? You ran into 2 dynasties. The Giants with Lawrence Taylor and the Cowboys with Emmett. Who'd you run into? Mahomes and no one. Oh, but he took a team to the Super Bowl. It's the only thing you have. And he didn't. What's the one thing that's different from this past year to 22? Your defense. And Hurts throws too much. No, I told you the way I wanted it. Go back to 22. He'll have a shot. Stay 23. He'll never have a shot. Coaching and philosophical differences in how they're coaching him is going to be Hurts' undoing. Yeah, but Sills, you're touting Kelly because the difference between him and the ring is wide right. And Hurts was nearly as close. Kelly was there 4 straight years. Second year, you got beat by Baker Mayfield. He's getting beat by Troy Aikman and Lawrence Taylor in Super Bowls. Not Baker Mayfield in the playoffs. Would this conversation be different if he had the same season as 22 or better? No. Yes. Yes. If he played like he did in 22 and he played that style, I don't think he has the turnovers. And I think they go deeper into playoff. How about this? because LJ's just all over the place right now. Let me ask this question. If Jalen Hurts played the same style of football in 22 and the Eagles had played that same style in 23, how far do you think they go this past playoffs? Even with the defensive problems, how far do you think they go? You won 11 games even with that horseshit. How far do they go? How far do the Eagles go? Brian, how far do they go in the playoffs? I mean, how far do they go in? How about this? Brian, do you think they win home field? KT says second round loss. We scored 9 points versus the Bucs. It wasn't only the defense's fault. That's why I'm saying if you played like 22, NFC Championship game, I think you would have beat the Bucs. Who did the Bucs lose to? With the Lions. I don't know. I would have liked to have had that conversation to see if the Lions could beat them. Okay? It's going to be close. Hey, Brian, I think they beat the Bucs, and you would have been lined up against the Lions. I don't know. If Jalen was playing the 22 style of playing Jalen Hurts, I might take that Eagle team, even with all the issues, if they were playing the same way they played in 22. He's undefensible. But you play like 23, you have no shot in 2024 to win ball games that matter. You're going to win 10 games because of the shitty NFC. And you're going to back into, like you did last year, you backed into 11 wins. And once you got into games that mattered, you got wiped out by the Bucs. You were wiped out by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Wiped out. Fangio may be getting underestimated, and let's see. Fangio may be getting us underestimated. He's been in the NFL for 25 years and never been to a Super Bowl. You find that weird? How many coaches do you know have been in the league 25 years and never been to a Super Bowl? Can you name one? Kellen Moore's never been to a Super Bowl. The head coach of Washington's been to 3. The head coach in Dallas has been to 2. The head coach in New York, and New York is the only one that hasn't been. And then there's Nick, who almost lost his job. Convincingly. So Bucs absolutely exploited every weakness we had. And our coaches were too stupid to change anything. Maybe they were afraid to. A lot of the players from last year's team checked out, Dan. Hey, James, I thought they loved Nick. If you love a guy so much, why do you quit on him? And then turn around 3 months later telling me how much you love him. It's like your old lady cheating on you, and you find out, and then she starts telling you how much she loves you 2 days later. Really? Here we go. Cutting it in half. First half of the season, we got away on talent alone. League caught up with our coaches. Didn't adjust. Simple. Why didn't Jalen adjust? Why didn't he say anything? Andy Reid says this about, and this has got, get this, this has really got nothing to do with arm talent. Patrick Mahomes, if he sees something in a game, he has complete autonomy to change the play. Does Hurts or no? I don't think Jalen Hurts can change a play. I don't think he knows how to change a play. And there lies another problem. I mean, I don't think he knows how to get out of a play because he stays with the same play. I don't think he knows. I really think he has a long way to go on learning how to play the quarterback position. Great quarterbacks will get out of a bad play or a bad situation. He won't. He'll throw that bitch right in there. Allen, too. That's why they went to Joe Brady. So this falls on the front office and cornerman Sirianni or cameraman. Jalen Hurts could have taken control, could have taken command of the offense. So he gets partial of the blame as well. Death Row. When it comes to the execution, Death Row, thank you very much for the super chat. When it comes to the execution of the offense, he totally gets half the blame for what happened last year. Guys like LJ and everyone want to completely just blame the coaches. It's him too. I don't think he's the leader you think he is. I don't think he's the arm talent you think he is. I think if Lamar Jackson throws the ball 40 times in a game, he'll never win. He will never win. Lamar Jackson has balance in his game. Impossible to defend him. Impossible to defend him. But when Lamar Jackson sits back there and has to be a pocket passer, I'm not sure that guy's ever thrown over 3,600 yards. He's not awful, but he's not good enough at it. So he has to implement the other parts of his game. Personally, I think that the coaches in Baltimore panicked in the AFC title game against Kansas City. Kansas City was poised. They knew what they were doing. They had been in big moments. They got two great coaches, and they knew what they were doing. And the quarterback knows what he's doing. I'm not even talking about talent. Then you put the great talent of Mahomes on top of that. It's unbeatable. How funny is this? As good as San Francisco's, the Kansas City Chiefs have beaten the two best rosters in pro football, the 49ers and Eagles, in consecutive years. Why? Great coaching, great quarterbacking, and a balanced roster on both sides of the ball. They're not better than you. Or 22, they were better. No, they weren't better than you in 22. They're better than you now because they're more balanced. Shit, that Kansas City team, you could make the argument they were better on defense than they were on offense last year. You could make the argument they turned that whole season around because defense was electric. Jalen is a West Coast 7-step drop quarterback like Dak. And if Moore doesn't see that by OTAs, we're in for a long season. Man, I really don't think Jalen is a 7-step guy. I don't think he can sit back there and do progression readings. I don't think he can read a defense. So, Anthony, that's where I disagree with you. He's not very good at it. Why in the world would the offensive coaches a year ago have a game plan where it was target passing? Go here, go here, go here. And the flow chart through that. Now, Anthony, I will say this. This offseason, I think, is critical. I hope he's working on his reads. I don't give a shit. You know, I saw something. I saw him working out in a gym. He don't need to be in a gym. He needs to be on a football field learning how to read defenses. Talking to quarterbacks that know how to read defenses. He needs to be in film work and in the game room and on a tablet. That's where Brady spent the majority of his life, was reading defenses and watching film. I'm not saying he's not doing that. I don't know that. I can't sit here and just make that up. I'm not saying he's not, but it hasn't shown yet. It just hasn't. The results don't dictate that he watches a lot of film. I don't see it. Or how about this? When someone says he's the first guy in, last one out, that's not good enough. You got to be a guy who's never leaving. Harbaugh has an RV parked on the Los Angeles Chargers lot. He never leaves the facility. His family lives there. He gets up at 4:30, goes into the office. He's got like 4 hours sleep. You think that's first guy in, last guy out, and over and above? That's what it takes. I mean, I don't think he does enough film study. It hasn't shown yet. Hey, MG, they show me always workouts in the gym. That's not where I want my quarterback. I don't want my quarterback working out in a gym. I want him on a football. Whenever you watched Brady, you don't watch Brady in a gym. Brady was throwing footballs to Amendola and Edelman in California or up in Wyoming. They never showed workout gym videos of Brady. Cap space in 26, 34 million, 27 players signed. It's pretty good. Look at LJ. Harbaugh was out of the league for a decade. There's a reason, dude. Yeah, he got $9 million to be the head coach of his alma mater. And what did he do? Went there, turned the whole thing around, and was better than Bo Schembechler. And now he makes $18 million a year. Dude. And when he was in the league, he was 44-19-1. Dude. And went to 2 NFC title games. Dude. And won an NFC title. Dude. You make it sound like Harbaugh was run out. No. He got tired of Trent Baalke. And he got tired. Are you trying to suggest that Jim Harbaugh hasn't had success in the NFL? Guy played 17 years in the league and took a team to the Super Bowl and was the play-calling head coach with Colin Kaepernick. Yeah, he got booted. He quit. Oh, and by the way, just to show you how much and how ignorant LJ is, what was the record of the 49ers for the next 5 years after Harbaugh left? Can someone tell me? I'd be interested. What was the record? Harbaugh has had as much success as Nick. Well, then why was Nick fired? Almost fired. And once again, Harbaugh wasn't fired, dude. He resigned and he went to Michigan. That's not true. Jim Harbaugh was not fired by the 49ers. He resigned to take the head football coaching job and a $10 million a year job. He was making 3 times the money that he made in Michigan and in Ann Arbor. Oh, he was almost. Well, nice flip-flop. That's not true. He was making $3.5 million as the head, $4 million, I think it was. I know Jim Harbaugh. And then Michigan offered him $9.5. Where would you go? Stay in the NFL for $4 million or go to Michigan for almost 10? Where would you go? Oh, and when you come back to LJ's point, he comes back and he makes $18 million a year. Doesn't sound like a guy who had poor success in the league to me. How's that possible if he was fired? So he was making $4 million at in San Francisco. He comes back, he's making $18 million. Oh. And every franchise wanted him. That's a good one too, John. He loses to Ray Lewis and Ed Reed in a historic defense. And in my opinion, if I'm not mistaken, Ray Lewis, I don't think he won the MVP in that Super Bowl. I think Flacco did. I think he won in the Giant one. Okay? Harbaugh quits on every team he coaches. We'll do it again. Well, it looks like every team that has a little adversity will quit on Nick. They'll do it again. What? What makes you think that if you get out to a 2-4 start, your team won't quit again? He's got no answers. So let me get this right. Harbaugh doesn't stay in places very long. Okay. Because you say he quits on teams. Well, at least they're winning. Nick coaches teams that players quit on. The coach. Correct? Have what, Steve? I'd rather have a coach not stay at a place. Look at Jimmy Johnson. You think Jimmy Johnson didn't want to be around Jerry Jones anymore. So Jerry fired him because he didn't want to be there. He was there 5 years. Jimmy Johnson never was in a place longer than 5 years in his entire coaching career. Dolphins, Hurricanes, Oklahoma State, Dallas Cowboys. Now he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't know. I don't think staying in a place a long period of time is a litmus test on how great you are. I think whatever you do with your time there is the result that people will remember. Jalen Hurts is in Philadelphia for 10 years and does dick and goes to one Super Bowl appearance. At least with Marino, he revolutionized the passing game. Hurts checked out in the Giants game. I thought, why didn't the coach pick him up, motivate him? Why didn't Jalen motivate himself? Can you imagine this? So get this. Sills wears that shitty 1-6 stretch. Yeah, because it told us a lot about Hurts. He quit. That's why I'm not a fan of him. He quit. Team's bad. Coaching's bad. So I quit. That's why he got the job taken away from him at Alabama. If your boy Sirianni was such a great coach, why did the quarterback quit? Harbaugh quits on people? Then why do they play for him? And why do they win? Jim Harbaugh did more in 9 years at Michigan than Bo Schembechler ever did over 28 years. Who do you think had a better coaching run? What Harbaugh did or what Schembechler did? I'll take Jim. That's like saying, well, Andy Reid was a better coach than Doug Peterson. No. Because at the end, the whole journey of his time in Philly led to one thing, a championship. Andy's time led to almost getting there, but not quite good enough. So you're there longer, given a longer period of time to do what Doug did, and you can't get it done. gave Hurts the bag too early. This is where I'm going to agree with LJ here. You know, the money's high, and probably the owner has an ass with it. But I will say this. Howie doing the due diligence on the cap, and A.J. Brown's salary cap hits over the next 2 years are going to be more detrimental to the Eagles than what Jalen is. So in that respect, you know, it's a lot of money for a player, but I never thought he was ready for the money. I didn't think Kyler Murray was, but they gave it to him. Okay? See, they gave him the money, and what people will do when they look at the money. See, you know what the money signifies for Jalen? People think he's arrived. Well, that doesn't mean that. There's been a lot of $50 million, $45 million deals that haven't worked out. Just facts. Many of those contracts, 90% of those contracts haven't panned out at all when it comes to success. And that's everyone. Winning Super Bowls is not that easy. Getting back to them are not that easy. Let me think about it in the Super Bowl era. And correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys are more historians. So 1980, Super Bowl. 2004, Super Bowl. That's a 24-year gap, right? Okay. 2017, Super Bowl. And 2022, Super Bowl. So from 1980 until 2022, what is that? 45 years? 42 years? You've been to 4 Super Bowls. And you're 1-3 in them. I mean, and the gaps are significant. 24 years, 13 years. The last ones are the closest ones, 17 to 22. Okay, that's the closest. Harbaugh was young when he got the Niners job. He's 60. He's going to make the Chargers compete very fast. Completely agree, Taylor. Paying Jalen was a bet that has yet to be realized. Correct. Because once they paid him, last year was a train wreck. I have short patience with Jalen, but I give him one more season. If he plays like he did last year, he needs to go. You know what, DB? If he plays like he did last year, then you know 22 was a one-year wonder, and that's what I called him. How do you know this is not going to be the best you ever see of him? We've seen that before with athletes. They have this one gigantic year, and all of a sudden, you never see that year again. You saw it with Wentz. Wentz was this shooting star. All of a sudden, it just bombed. Purdy never checked out and was in tough situations. Even tried coming back in that game where Reddick wrecked the game, right? And even did more damage to his shoulder. Still came in. Correct? I think Hurts is replaced by bye week in 25. That's about where I got it. I got 24 games before they make a decision on him. Xander thinks it's 34. I think it's going to be somewhere in the 24 range. I think he's got 24 games to prove that he's the guy. Look, I think there's more pressure on him because of the money. Dude, it's, you know, you can keep telling me all you want, and LJ can keep telling you about the cap. Owner's still paying somebody $50 million. You think an owner wants to pay somebody $50 million? No, if you're not getting the results. If they replace Nick, though, they're going to give him at least one full season with a new staff. That's why 34. Owner paid the dude $55 million. So then guess what happens when you fire Nick? Then you bring in a guy like Sean Payton who's going to look at him like Russell Wilson and go like this. This ain't going to work. You're giving me a quarter. Guys take jobs. Jim Harbaugh, why do you think he took that job over any other job that was potentially available? Why would he take the Seattle job? He wouldn't. For who? Geno Smith? Drafting one of the quarterbacks that are in the draft that he recruited and he knows aren't very good? He knows Caleb Williams isn't that good. He knows that. Or he would have put pressure on Chicago to take that gig. Harbaugh could have had any gig he wanted. But he took the Charger job. Why? Gave him front office autonomy. How do you know that? They fired Tom Telesco. He wasn't going to be put in the Trent Baalke situation again, where he had to answer to anyone. That's why Jim Harbaugh took the Charger job. 2 reasons. Complete autonomy in hiring of coaches, drafting. He's brought all of his own people in. See, what Los Angeles did, the Chargers, is something the Eagles would never do. Hire a coach to come in and fire everyone, like Jimmy and Jerry did. Jim Harbaugh fired everyone. Everyone. GM, scouting department, assistant coaches, Kellen Moore. All those people were replaced. Every single one of them. He brought his own people in. The only person Nick brought in was a parking attendant. That's it. 0 say. I mean, there's a complete contrast between the power that Harbaugh has and Nick doesn't. They fired Tom Telesco. Tom Telesco they fired, who was a friend of mine. He's now in Las Vegas. He's been on the program. Xander put his ass on. We will know after this year what Herbert is after Harbaugh's working with him. Yeah, I agree, Anthony. I agree. I expect him. Look at what he did with Colin Kaepernick. Dude, I don't care what anybody says. When Kaepernick was put in as a starting quarterback in San Francisco, I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was the best dual threat quarterback I had ever seen. 180 yards passing, 180 yards rushing. This was in Green Bay at Lambeau. In a playoff game, or Atlanta, I think it was. I forget. One of those. It was in a playoff game. He was electric. It was completely electric. And when he left, Colin Kaepernick fell to pieces because no one knew how to coach him. And no one knew how to coach that style of play. As soon as he left, better than Vic? Well, let's put it this way. I don't know about that. I must have missed that Super Bowl that Vic went to, or all those playoff wins that Vic won. I must have missed that. Michael Vick was a lot of fun to watch in the regular season, but when it came to the postseason, he wasn't very good. Michael Vick wasn't a very good postseason football player. You know why? He couldn't win from the pocket. He couldn't. It's one thing to be electric. It's another thing to know how to coach it, too. I think if Jim Harbaugh had coached Michael Vick and Andy Reid had Michael Vick early, I think he could have changed his entire career around. Hey, Kaepernick made the Packers look like Swiss cheese in that playoff game. Hey, DC4L, that was at Lambeau too, wasn't it? I believe that was at Lambeau. So Michael Vick has 2 wins in the playoffs. Well, so does Dak. You trying to tell me you think that Michael Vick's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott? I would never say that because he wasn't. He was a better athlete and he was more electric, but he wasn't better. And he didn't win more. Colin Kaepernick was a spectacular football player. Then too many people talking to him. And what had happened to him, he had Carson Wentz syndrome. Fell apart. Oh, I see. So Carson Wentz fell apart. Colin Kaepernick fell apart, but not your boy. Correct. You guys really have a lot of faith in this guy, and I don't. Death row sounds like all of the black running quarterbacks. What does running quarterback have to do with race? Where in the world does that have any? Hey, Death row, I'm not saying that you mean anything by it, but I'm not sure what that means. In today's game, I think you have to have, I think Justin Herbert has to run more. I do. I think he has to run more and use some of his size. But smart and because of salary cap and you losing players, I think you have to have mobile quarterbacks today. Not saying that you have to be some sort of like complete running quarterback, but I think you need some versatility in that. Okay? So Josh Allen runs. He's a white guy. I don't know. It's funny. And I'll say it here. That whole Caitlin Clark conversation, we always go back to race. Mahomes is the new prototype everyone wants. Can move in the pocket, but has a massive accurate arm. Yeah, but also Xander, you know what he does? He pulls the RPO out in playoff time. He'll pull it out sometime during like in that Philly game. Get this. Here's the difference between Patrick Mahomes also mentally thinking, Andy Reid mentally thinking, Brett Veach mentally thinking, and Steve Spagnuolo. They'd rather lose a regular season game to the Eagles than to take a risk at Mahomes doing an RPO in a stupid Eagle game. And it doesn't matter. I mean, it was the first time they had to go on the road. And they're comfortable with that now. If Patrick Mahomes doesn't run for 65 yards in the Super Bowl, they don't beat the 49ers. They don't beat San Francisco. There's not a chance they beat San Francisco. But he ran for 64 yards in that game. And he was doing it. Remember what Andy Reid said? Yeah, he changed the play and just took off. How come Hurts doesn't do that? Guys got to be more assertive in the play calling. Sills, we'll see how Herbert does this year. He has no receivers and Eckler. I think, Denny, he'll be a better passer this year. Spreading it around instead of throwing to one guy. You guys are under this conception you have to have these big-time $25 million wideouts. They don't win you dick. Give me a rookie on a rookie contract who can make plays. Like you're trying to tell me, if you don't sign that kid, that Malik Neighbor kid, you mean to tell me you don't think he can get you 1,200 yards in a Jim Harbaugh offense on a rookie contract? What's the point of paying Keenan Allen $15 million when I can get the same numbers with a rookie making $2 million? Why would I do that? The Philadelphia Eagles, if Jalen was so good, you'd trade AJ and you get one first round. No, you wouldn't get a one for him. You wouldn't get a one for him. You'd probably get a couple twos for him. And you go into the NFL draft, parlay those picks, and draft a wide receiver on a rookie deal if you were that good. But he's not. He's not that good. So you can't do that. Instead, you go out and sign a $10 million running back. Tonight's national title game, I forgot about it. Let's hit the timeout here. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz and Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big sales. I believe Ice Cube's on tomorrow. I think we're going to get our friend Ice Cube on. Big three's going on. He's going to be at the NFL draft for some reason. I don't know why. Okay? I don't know why, but so we're going to talk to our guy. And he was at, by the way, his son O'Shea was at the WrestleMania. And he said he had a blast. He said Philly fans were just absolutely insane. They had a fun time, man. They really did. Okay, it said they had a really yeah, man. No, he had a great time, and so he posted something at WrestleMania, and he was like, it was such a great time. It was such a great show too. He met Jason Kelsey, and he met Lane Johnson. He couldn't believe how big Lane Johnson. Lane's a big horse, man. He surely is. He's a big dude, man. Okay. Robert says that teams typically get better throughout the season. We got worse. Yeah. They didn't know what to do. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's it probably. Hey, DC, Ice Cube's probably going to announce one of the Raider picks. John goes, no, did he? Nah, man. I told you, man. He's going to be in the can pretty soon with R. Kelly at a barbershop quartet singing, don't drop the soap. That's what he's going to be. Don't drop the soap, dog. Okay? Look at LJ bringing up Super Bowl hangover. It was our Super Bowl hangover. That's why we lost to Tommy DeVito. It was our Super Bowl hangover. That's why we suck so bad. That's why we lost to the Bucs and scored 9 points. Is that really a Super Bowl hangover? You know? Is that really a Super Bowl hangover? You score 9 points. Okay? Most teams don't even make the playoffs. You mean like who? Oh, that's right. I forgot. CLJ, he likes to be compared to the Jets and not Kansas City or Pittsburgh or any of these other teams that actually get there. Even Dallas gets there. They may not do anything when they get there. But when you mean like you. All right. Yeah, well, here's the difference. Rams are good. Rams, the Bengals. Want to be compared to the Bengals. All right. Eagles and Bengals. Okay. Eagles and Bengals. Nah. You're a tomato can. You should be compared to Spider Rico. Nick Sirianni is Spider Rico. All right. We're over the limit. I appreciate everybody coming aboard. I do believe we're working on Ice Cube tomorrow. So also, I think we're working on finally trying to nail down Chris Sims sometime this week. I'm not sure yet, but we will do that as well. Appreciate everybody. UConn tonight. Who would have ever thought that Storrs, Connecticut would be the centerpiece of the basketball world and that they would end up winning another national championship and more national championships than Duke. UConn with 3 different coaches. It's amazing. Real quick, John Calipari going to Arkansas? Sure. You've got Walmart money and you've got Tyson Foods money. He leaves Kentucky. He didn't feel they wanted him, so you know what he did? He took a higher paying job. Oh, so you think you're stuck with me in that $33 million? You can keep it. I'm going to the Tyson guy and the Walmart money at Arkansas. Good for him. Absolutely good for him. And maybe they get back to Nolan Richardson and what they did then. All right. Big Joe Xander, appreciate it. Thank you very much. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we'll see you on the flip side.